Everyone, welcome to this extended live stream on race, crime, and violence in America. We're taking our time today because these issues are too important to rush. We're going to lay out the hard data from official sources like the FBI and the Bureau of Justice Statistics, because I think stats are very important in this case. Compare across Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, and other groups. We're going to walk through real world cases with all the details, examine what politicians say that either fuels or fights the violence. We're going to pull in some Charlie Kirk straightforward commentary, and we're going to spend substantial time on the Karmelo Anthony case that just ended with a 35-year sentence. Now, this case, 35 years, a lot of times in cases like this, they'll get life. He is only 17, though, and I'm going to approach this based on the poll. Let me see what number we're at now. It looks like at least half of you aren't fully familiar with the case. So what I'll probably do is approach it from a assuming that you've never heard of it from scratch. But I'll try not to spend way too much time on that. So we will do that. Now, just to be clear, this isn't about promoting hate or division. It's about confronting reality so we can actually protect lives. And the data is crystal clear that Black communities are bearing the heaviest burden from this violence. And we'll talk more specifically about what violence. Most of it is ignored by mainstream outlets when it doesn't fit their preferred narrative. We use direct links so you can verify everything. And if you have any questions, any important comments or anything, drop those in super chats. It's easier to handle that way. To go back up and try and find all the questions and stuff through chat is often very difficult. Just as a heads up. So let's start with the actual case itself, just to get people kind of caught up. So on the left side, we have Karmelo Anthony. On the right side, we have Austin Metcalf. So the gentleman on the left, he is the one that committed the crime. The one on the right is the victim. And we're going to talk about the details of this. So Karmelo Anthony, also referred to as Karmelo, he was 17 at the time. He's now 19. He was convicted of first-degree murder in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. So he was just recently convicted. On April 2nd, 2025, during a Frisco Independent School District regional track and field meet, an altercation occurred between students from different high schools. We're going to get into more details about this because there's a lot of things on each side of this that I won't say they don't make sense, but they're not matching up. And even details such as their height and weight don't even match up in official documents. So we're going to look at that too. But both teams were student athletes. Metcalf attended Memorial High School. Anthony attended Centennial High School. They did not know each other beforehand. Okay, that's an important detail. The incident happened during a rainy day under a team tent belonging to Memorial High School. So Karmelo was under the tent of a rival school. Okay, that's important to remember here. And the confrontation, Anthony from a rival school sat under Memorial High's tent. And they're saying, at least in court, and some of the people defending him, they're trying to say that he was he was hiding from the rain, which, my first question, I don't know how everything was laid out, but why didn't he go to his team's tent would be my question. But we'll keep going. Metcalf's twin brother and teammate asked him to leave as it was designated for their team. Okay. So each team puts people in charge of maintaining the tent and maintaining who can be in the tent and that whole situation. And the Metcalf's twin was part of that. Anthony reportedly refused, leading to a verbal argument. Witnesses described Anthony, that is the one that committed the crime, of using expletives and taunting others. So many people were saying, including witnesses in court the other day, made it very clear that Karmelo Anthony went under the tent to supposedly get out of the rain. He brought a knife with him in his backpack to the event overall. Okay. So he went to a school event with a knife. That is not a good start if you want to defend yourself in court. You're not supposed to have knives, guns, or anything in school zones. And anyone that carries concealed carry knows that as well. And he had obviously in this case, he had a knife. And that knife was in his backpack. And he went under this tent. And all the reports that I've seen so far, I try to kind of whittle it down. But it sounds like he went under there and basically was doing whatever he wanted. And these people asked him to leave upwards of 15 different times. And then eventually, it sounds like one of the, Austin, the victim who's no longer with us, he, I guess, put his hand on his back or something telling him to get out. He didn't hit him. They didn't jump him. No, it was raining. Ufuman. It was raining. Yeah. But he put his, he basically was like, well, you got to get out of here, right? This is after like 15 times of everyone on the team asking him to leave. So clearly, from my point of view, he's there where he's not supposed to be. He is there not listening. Now, granted, these students were not authorities, right? They're not coaches. They're not police officers. They're not teachers. But they asked him nicely to leave multiple times. And then when Austin finally went up to him and asked him to get out of there, then his response was basically touch me and see what happens. Okay. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a fight, if you've been in an argument, if someone says something to that effect, like, F around and find out, or touch me and see what happens, or I dare you to touch me, that person is there to fight. They came with an agenda. This is not a natural reaction for most people, right? It's a certain mindset that thinks that way and talks to people that way, for sure. So this is where we're at here. And then the escalation. So Metcalf reportedly pushed or grabbed Anthony after the verbal exchange. Like I said, based on everything I've seen, whatever he did wasn't super aggressive. Okay. He didn't punch him. He didn't launch him across the room. He didn't, shove him full force and all that kind of stuff. It was just kind of like, we've told you 15 times. So please, Anthony then reached into his backpack, pulled out a folding pocket knife described as about 5 inches. Now, I know where I'm at, and you can let me know if you know, actually, but where I'm at, you can only have a 3-inch knife. I think it's 3.5 inches is the maximum. So anything over that is illegal. And he stabbed Metcalf once in the chest. Some accounts know Anthony warned something like touch me and see what happens before the stabbing. Now, for if a 5-inch knife could easily reach the heart, but some sources were saying this was like a 3-inch knife. And we'll see the knife here in a minute. So Death Queef, you're saying, is there a video? Yes, but I'm not going to show the video. And most of the video was not released officially publicly. So I'm not going to show that and risk my channel. It's not worth it. So I will not be doing that. But it's also from further away. It's like CCTV footage, and you don't really see much. So it's not really actually that helpful. But the stabbing was described by prosecutors as sudden. Metcalf collapsed and died from the chest wound. He reportedly died in his twin brother's arms. Okay, so his twin watched this all happen. And there's reports that he was running around saying he thought he'd been stabbed. That he was, blood coming out of his chest, saying he couldn't breathe, and all these different things. So it's very traumatic to his teammates and to his brother. Anthony's claimed self-defense, of course, citing the push grab and alleged size difference of fear, but prosecutors and witnesses portrayed it as provoked by Anthony's refusal to leave and his quick resort to a deadly weapon he carried. That is the direction I tend to lean. Like I said, again, if you're not planning on causing any problems, why would you bring a knife in the first place? That's number one. And then number two, if they ask you to leave and they're bigger than you, then you leave. Yeah, JD Delay, I see you, man. How's it going? Everyone show some love to JD Delay in chat. But yeah, if you're, he knows better than anybody. If you're in a situation where you can't win, you leave. And he was able to leave. They weren't holding him there. They weren't blocking his way. So that's part of this too. So it almost seemed like he wanted something to happen. I don't know if he was having a bad day that day. Maybe it's his personality. Now, on the other side, we have Austin Metcalf. At the time, he was 17, student athlete. He was described as a leader and well-liked. And, it sounds like they both did good on grades. This is an interesting fact, they both had the father in the family. Okay. So this was not a case of he grew up with no dad and they were poor and they were in the hood. That is not their situation. They were pretty well off. He got a Lexus and a Jeep. They lived in a, pretty nice house, and we'll get into some of that stuff here in a minute. And his father was there, but you're going to see his father is an interesting character. So we need to talk about that too. No other victims were reported, and the way he was caught is he ran a little bit of ways away and then kind of gave up or kind of like turned himself in. He was quickly located and surrendered. And then Eduardo Cortez, who was a school resource officer, took him into custody. Body cam footage. He says, Anthony says this. He says, I'm not alleged I did it. Okay. So he admitted to it flat out. And then he also told officers he acted in self-defense because he put his hands on me. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little sketchy. Okay. And he did ask if Metcalf would survive. So that's kind of important. I don't know if he wanted him to die or if he was hoping he survived or whatever it may be. But if you tell someone you're acting in self-defense because someone touched you, even if someone pushes you, that's not necessarily self-defense. Okay. Like I know here in Nebraska, if someone pushes me and knocks me to the ground, but they're not continuously still punching or swinging or have a knife or a gun, and I were to shoot them or stab them or something like that, I'm going to jail because they don't consider a push or a touch on your shoulder saying you got to get out of here. That is not considered an immediate threat to your life. Okay. And super important points, like these little details. The knife was recovered, multiple eyewitnesses, teammates, and friends. He was arrested at the scene and he was charged with murder. And it was first degree murder, charged and tried as an adult. And again, that 35 years seems short to a lot of people. And they say as early as 17 years, he might actually be able to get out or try some, negotiate something better. But Anthony was initially held on bond. The case drew national attention. That bond, I believe, went from, and JD, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was $1 million, more than $1 million on the bond, and now it's like 250,000. So it dropped significantly. And then the trial began with jury selection in Collin County. One point of contention among a lot of people, including the parents, is that they said it was an all-white jury. Based on what I've seen, what they mean by all-white is that there was no black people, which I believe is true. So, you have 21 people. I believe it was 21 people that were jury, and they were set up where I believe it was like, a couple Asian, a couple Hispanic, it was like some other nationalities were there, but just weren't African Americans. And we're going to see a lot of opinions. We're going to watch some videos. We're going to see other people's takes. We're going to see people on both sides of this, as well as how some people feel about their own side. And I think that's really important. What do the court docs say is different? Well, let me see if I forgot anything here. So that's the basic overlay of the case. So for anyone who's new to this, who just came in, basically this guy on the left went into a tent, caused some problems, wouldn't leave, dared the guy on the right to try to make him leave. And when the guy on the right, attempted to start to make him leave, he got stabbed and died. Okay. So very unfortunate situation. Obviously you never want to see that, especially with, with younger kids. You don't want to see that kind of stuff. So give me just 1 second here. Let's see. I'm just making sure my wife is getting set up to assist with the questions. If you're listening, you can just come down here and we can figure out whatever's going on. I'm not sure what you're looking at. But one thing I saw here is it says Karmelo supporters are starting to set up fraudulent LLCs under the guise of helping families who have endured domestic violence in order to funnel money to the Anthony family. Full report with receipts coming soon. I've seen lots of this, lots of fraud, lots of GoFundMe's and stuff like that people are setting up to try and get the most out of this and capitalize on it. And it's pretty unfortunate. And let me see if there's anything else here I want to show. I really want to get to the videos to show the different examples of how people are reacting to this. But this is the kind of stuff they're seeing. This is to the father. Dear Jeff Metcalf, your son is dead because you failed to teach him the black boys have boundaries. So they're blaming the father for not telling his son to not confront anyone who has dark skin. Okay. So that is one side of things. That's how they're handling it, right? They're doing the typical pulling the race card, saying that there's racism going on, and this whole thing was about race and everything else. And then this is the knife, apparently. And you can see it's a decent sized knife. And it's kind of like this, it's not really like a multi-tool, but it has a little flashlight and I think like a little screwdriver or something on the back, but it's basically a knife. And, if you're carrying this around, you're looking for trouble. Like someone like me, I might carry something like this on day to day, and I use it to like cut open packages when Amazon gets here and stuff like that. But it's not normal for a teenager at a track meet to be carrying this knife unless they're looking for trouble, or if they think trouble's coming after them, right? One of the two. And we have, Reverends. Karmelo Anthony just filed his appeal, claiming he's too poor to employ counsel and needs a taxpayer-funded lawyer. But here's the interesting thing. This is another part of this case, and people are talking about the parents I can see in the chat. But this is the same Carmelo Anthony whose family raised $625,000, more than that actually. I think it was up to 900,000 on Give and Go for his legal battle. That money somehow helped them to relocate into a $900,000 luxury gated community, right? So his parents took the money that was raised for him and they spent it to get a house in a luxury community. And also reportedly the mother got a nose job and some other things. So this is a whole separate side of the story. This goes to show the mentality of the parents and possibly why he ended up the way he did. But he says too broke for a lawyer, but not too broke for the mansion. Make it make sense. So this is just a crazy story all around. And I'll just do this last one here, then we'll go into the actual videos. Carmelo didn't cry when the jury heard the 911 call after Austin Metcalf was stabbed. He didn't cry when Austin's twin brother Hunter could be heard screaming in anguish and praying his brother wouldn't die. He didn't cry when the jury was shown Austin's autopsy photos, which apparently they gasped because it was that bad. It was that deep. Some said it went through the front and all the way into the bone. Okay. That takes a lot of power. He didn't cry when the jury, he didn't cry when they saw the blood-soaked shirt used in a desperate attempt to save Austin's life. But he cried when he was found guilty. And he cried again when he was sentenced to 35 years. The only tears the jury saw were for his own fate, not for the life that was taken. And the other part of this is the parents of this gentleman, of Carmelo, as far as I know to this day, have still not apologized for their son taking Austin's life. Okay, so that's the kind of mentality we're dealing with. Give me just one sec. All right. All right. I think we got things situated, at least enough for now. So, one thing I want to cover that's really interesting, and like I was saying before, there's the stats on the size discrepancy. This is the big point of contention for a lot of people. So, the Frisco police, who actually arrested him, they list Carmelo Anthony's height as 5'9" and he's 130 pounds. That's what they're saying. But if you look at his official school profiles, like Max Preps and Huddle, which are like the football players and stuff will have like profiles, for their sports, especially if they're going to head into professional sports. They list him as 5'11" and 160. That's a big difference. So I don't know which one is correct, but Austin is 6 foot or 6'1" and between 200 or 220, 225 pounds. So he's bigger. Now, some people are saying they did jujitsu, they did some, martial arts training and stuff like that. I mean, none of that comes into play because Carmelo wouldn't have known that before he stabbed him, right? So if he was purely off of size saying these guys are big, it makes me nervous or whatever, he could have just left. He could have just walked away at any point. Okay. So really, really simple. Hey Base, how's it going? Let's see. So yeah, so size discrepancy, you're talking at his shortest, he's like 5'9", 130 pounds. Austin was like 6 foot, 225 pounds. Now remember, there's multiple people. So what I would say is to anyone that is saying that he was in the right to stab Austin because he felt like he was in fear for his life because of Austin's size, I would challenge you and say he walked into the tent of an opposing team he knew he was not supposed to be under. He was asked at least 15 times to leave and didn't leave. And then he was confident enough with the knife in his bag to challenge an entire team under the tent. Okay. So if he was going to be scared of anything, it should be being scared of the entire team. So for him to go after one person because he feared for his life, I don't believe that. If he had the bravery to walk under the tent with a knife in his bag and tell them, touch me and see what happens, then this almost seems premeditated a little bit, but I can't go that. I can't confirm that, obviously. So, 30 to 40 pounds difference overall. But yeah, I mean, they would not be in the same weight class, I guess is the big takeaway from that. Now, one thing I do want to talk about here too is stats. So let me see if I can switch my view here again. All All right. So I'm gonna go over a little bit of stats here, and then we'll get back into that stuff. We'll get into the video. And the video is the interesting part. I did try my best to bleep everything. I ran it through a filter, so some stuff may slip through. So just be ready for that. But let's start with the foundation. So the best detailed victim offender race. There's an FBI expanded homicide data table. So I wanted to see, because you always hear that African Americans say that they get killed more than by the police, and they, white people kill black people more and all these different things. So I want to just go to it and see what it says. I want to see, what's the results. And there's this chart here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. I will share it, but I'll talk about it more than share it. So I'll walk you through the key rows. So this is 2019, and we have more 2023 data as well. For white victims, there was over 3,000. Where the offender race was known, 2,594 were killed by white offenders. Okay. So mostly whites killing whites. 566 were killed by black offenders, 56 by other races. For black victims, about 3,000. 246 were killed by white offenders. 2,574 were killed by black offenders. Okay. So between 88 and 90% of black homicide victims were killed by other black offenders. Okay. I'm going to say that again. 88 to 90% of black homicide victims were killed by other black offenders. Black on white murders, 566. White on black, 246. So black on white outnumbers the reverse more than 2 to 1. So black people are killing white people at more than twice the rate. And black people are killing black people at about 9 or 10 times that rate. Okay. And blacks only make up roughly 13 to 14% of the U.S. population, but they account for around 50 to 55% of known murder offenders in multiple years. So at 13% of the population, they're committing 55% of the murders. That's known murders, okay? That's just the ones that people get caught for. And then the most recent, 2023, there were 19,800 homicides. Black people accounted for 55.8% of the victims. That's about 21 per 100,000. White people were about 40.8. That's 3.2 per 100,000. That's more than 6 times lower. And Asians didn't barely even register. American Indians, Native Americans, very low as well. So for offenders in 2023, according to Statista, drawing from FBI data, 8,842 white murders, 6,405 black, and 461 of other races. And again, 88 to 90% was black people killing black people. Okay. For whatever reason, Hispanics are tracked separately. So their homicide rates are typically 2 to 3 times higher than non-Hispanic whites, but substantially lower than black. So if you were looking at the chart of, basically it would be, Asians at the bottom, and then white people on top of that, and then Hispanics on top of that, and then black people on top of that for the ones that commit the most murders. So, I mean, it kind of matches something else we're going to look at here that I think is pretty important. But, you're talking about fatherlessness rates. Now, in this specific case, his father was present. So that isn't necessarily his specific case. But in general, among African Americans, the fatherless rate is over 70% in some black communities. That's very high. And similar to me, my father is African American, and he was not present. And when he was present, he was abusive. So I can relate to this type of, this type of culture. And numbers are one thing, but let's humanize them with cases. So in black on black violence, think of the relentless weekend tolls in Chicago or Baltimore, dozens of people shot, multiple fatalities, often young people, unfortunately, with minimal sustained national coverage. So they don't talk about it. It's just become a part of everyday life at this point. And these are the stats that are playing out in real time. Thousands of black lives are lost annually, mostly to other black offenders in the same neighborhoods. They don't talk about that. So a lot of people know it happens. If you talk to a police officer, they'll say it happens, but it's not making national news. You don't see Black Lives Matter coming out against it. You don't see Al Sharpton and all these other people. These what do they call them? I want to say propagandists, but there's people that come out and they speak towards these causes. You don't see them coming out talking about that. In fact, they'll deny it, and they'll say they'll blame it on everything else. So black on white cases frequently receive less intense scrutiny. Charlie Kirk has observed this reality happening all the time in urban America. He says that prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more. That is a quote directly from Charlie Kirk. Okay. And Hispanic involved crime is more likely gang related. So as far as like the Caucasian and the black thing back and forth and black on black, a lot of times it's just in neighborhoods and it's not necessarily gangs. But when it comes to Hispanic specifically, it's saying a big majority is specifically gang related. Okay. Now, as far as family and culture goes, there's lower rates among whites and especially Asians with intact homes and cultural norms. So if you have your mother and father in the house and you're not poor and you're not living in areas that are a bad environment or a bad influence, then you would expect better outcomes overall. And I think that's basically what it's trying to say. But I do want to show, where's it at here? Oh, did I put it? Let me pull it up here really quick. I have stats on something I found very, very interesting that I didn't think I was going to find. Someone made a quote in one of these videos. Yes, Moon Goddess, I am half and half. But there was something very interesting that I found. Is this it here? Here we go. All right. See if you can see that there. Okay. Now, before you get all angry, these are not my stats. Okay. This is information that is widely available in public, and it comes from multiple different studies. And this is IQ of the different nationalities in general. Okay. So don't freak out and be like, hey, I'm intelligent. I'm sure you are, but this is averages. Okay. This goes by test scores and this goes by ability to learn new information and maintain it. Okay. So what we're looking at here, Asians, East Asians, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, the average IQ is 105 to 106. That's 5 to 6 higher than whites. Okay. Whites average is around 100. That's for IQ. And the normal standard deviation, they use whites as kind of the middle ground. Hispanics are 89 to 93 on average. So that's 7 to 11 under Caucasian. And then blacks coming in the lowest, their average IQ is 82 to 85. That's 15 to 18 points lower than Caucasian. Okay. This is all from colleges, from studies, from tests across high schools. Again, this is not my opinion. So the order is Asians are at the top, then whites, then Hispanics, then blacks. There are, of course, exceptions to all of this. There are people in all the different nationalities and ethnicities that are geniuses. And there are people in all of them that are not very bright. But averages go, blacks tend to have a lower IQ overall. And then plenty of black individuals score above the white Asian average and vice versa. But the majority, again, are on the lower end. And here's all different sources. If you want to look these up, Russian and Jensen, Roth et al., Human Varieties 2023, meta-analysis from 2020s. So if you want to look this stuff up and verify it, you're more than welcome. But let's jump into the videos. And like I said, there's some potty mouths in there. And I did my best to try to clean them up and use a third-party software to try to get it to be more friendly. So, all right, here we go. So this is something that's been happening a lot. It's a new challenge, kind of. But what they're doing is they're going around to veterans and people on the street, filming it, obviously, and then posting it. But what they're doing is they're harassing people, saying that you were in the jury, weren't you? You were in the jury. You're the reason that Karmelo Anthony is in jail, aren't you? And they're doing it knowing that those people aren't. So we'll get started with these.
Hey, weren't you on jury selection?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Seriously. No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
He was on jury selection.
I ain't been on that goddamn vet, dude.
Oh.
Vet. He's a vet. He ain't been on jury selection.
This man just ran up and slapped a random veteran, man, because he was white. What a disgrace. These people are so disgusted, man.
Now, I want to point something out here. A lot of people didn't notice, but I'll go back a few frames. See this knife? You see that? First time I saw it, I thought it was a gun. But this is, he was ready to, to defend himself. So he got smacked in the face, and the guy's talking a bunch of crap to him. He pulled out his knife. Okay. I don't know if this guy saw that, and that's why he kind of backed off a little bit, but I thought that was interesting.
Don't die.
Wait, dude.
You on jury? Why you on jury? This is
He
his.
wasn't. He wasn't.
You on jury selection?
He wasn't.
Now, there's a bunch of those videos. There's tons of them. So they're just going around. They're African American. They go out to white people and they smack them in the face and say, "You were on jury, weren't you?" So this is the kind of stuff that they're encouraging each other to do. Okay. Now we're going to get into some really deep conversations through these videos, but I'll keep playing. I'll spend less time talking and more time letting you watch.
So do you believe your son received a fair trial?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And we're going to keep fighting. We will not stop fighting for justice for my son.
And as parents, have you all struggled with guilt, asking yourselves, is there anything differently? I know, Kayla, you said you wish you had gone to that track meet. Is there anything that you both wish you could have done differently?
I wish I would have just been rebellious. I was told, don't talk to this person. Don't talk to this person. I feel like it was just a setup. Now, so they told us, go get white attorneys. Every black person I went to, white attorneys. No, white attorneys set them up. Pushed them. Hey, here you go. I mean, no objections. It was things smooth. So because as a father of me being who I am, I got to make sure she's straight. This mama bear, I got to make sure she's straight mentally.
Now, listen to what he just said. He said, as a father, I need to make sure my wife is straight. So he said, as a father, I'm bypassing my child and I'm going to make sure my wife is good. That makes no sense. And if you listen to him, he sounds very incoherent. I don't know what his thought was. He didn't get a single thought out, at least clearly. So these are the kind of people that were raising him, and they had money. But I watched this and I was like, oh, okay. Now it's starting to make more sense. Okay. At home, he is not getting fed. And I don't know about, religious stuff, or I don't know if they're Christians or whatever, but the family seems sketchy. I'll just say that. But, him saying that he want to make sure his wife's straight mentally, the way he's talking, and seems like he's not all with it. I don't know if that maybe there's a genetic component to this, but we'll keep going.
Because if she's not straight, my house ain't straight. I'm not straight. Then so because I got the kids to worry about. Got to make sure his mental health. I can't go back and forth with him right then there because his mental can handle it. The misunderstanding of what dad is trying to tell. This ain't a daddy moment.
So I want to point out that they were not at the sentencing, which is a huge sign, and they were also not at the track meet that day. So neither the mother nor father was at the track meet, and they were also not at his sentencing. So that should tell you a lot. And they took the money, like we talked about before, they took the money that was for his trial, and they've used it to get a $900,000 house, and they're living in luxury off of the GoFundMe money. So if that gives you an idea of the kind of parents that he was dealing with. And make sure you guys hit that like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll continue forward. Now, this video real quick. This video, hey Swamp Lover, thanks for being here. This video really quick is, I want to show you an example because when I was growing up, like I said, I'm mixed black and white. I grew up basically the same way that a lot of, African-American kids say they do. Father's not present. We're poor. We live in a crappy part of town. Lots of crime and that kind of stuff. That's how I grew up. You learn that people have two sides. So every African-American person has two sides. They have their side that's for work, and the other side is for everybody else. So this is a really good example where you see him switch from work mode to who he really is really quick. Watch, it's kind of funny.
What really happened on that Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death?
I'm dying in country ass. My mouth, the teeth, collar, and this country mother. I can't even see me.
Okay.
And anytime you're hearing silence, that's where the cuss words were bleeped out that I was able to actually control. So, but you see, there's two very different people in there. Swamp Lover, what happened? There was, I guess, a bug went in his mouth or his nose or something, and he just lost it. Now, a lot of these examples we're going to see are of African Americans or Africans, depending on the situation, that are speaking out against the behavior of either Carmelo Metcalf, or sorry, I'm mixing the names together now. Either Carmelo Anthony's family or his supporters versus what they believe. And we're gonna start getting to like a really deep topic here in a second, and I think it's gonna be important for everyone to hear it.
I just took a couple clips from the beginning of his video because he makes some really good points, and I just wanted to talk about it. So here it is.
Drew Anthony, Kayla, you're cowards. You wouldn't even show up for your son's sentencing.
This is the
or
father.
Victim statement impact. You
of the
abandoned
victim.
your kid. You left him there. I guess he's no more used to you because you can't get any more GoFundMe money or Go Send Go money. You never once admitted or took accountability. You tried to play victim. The real victim is the one who died. I come to pray with you and show the world we can close the gap of this unbelievable racial divide. And what'd you do? You widen the gap even further.
You see that right there? That's character. That's morals. That's values. That's a good Christian man right there. Offered to pray with you. Imagine that. The family that lost their child wants to pray and give forgiveness to your son, your thug ass son killing their child. Wanted to pray with you. But what did you do? Nah, you didn't want to do that. Because you know why? It's going to be another race hustling summer, y'all. Just like BLM, you're following the race hustling playbook. Y'all dummies donated to that organization. None of that money went to anything to do with black people, black communities. You know where that money went to? It went to buying mansions for these people.
Despite. You guys remember that? Remember the Black Lives Matter movement? They were doing all that stuff across the country, burning everything down, causing chaos everywhere, saying defund the police. And then you find out that the people that organized it, who were African-American, they just took that money and bought a bunch of houses. And we're blowing the money on stuff, just living it up. Someone says echo. Is there an echo? All right, let me put my headphones on. I don't want you guys to have to experience echoes. All right, let's try this now. Okay, so now there should be no echo.
What a jury found, his parents dispute their son ever wanted to kill Austin Metcalf.
My son didn't intend to hurt anyone.
And you know what the most disgusting part is? No apology to the family. You instantly just wanted to go to victim. Seeing as how you don't have any morals or values, and your son doesn't either. He didn't even take the stand. If he really was defending himself, don't you think you would get on the stand and really articulate what you were defending yourself from? There was no argument there. We're going to have to deal with these dumbass protests, messing up our summer. Hashtag believe Karmelo. Get some class, get some values, get some character. Y'all need Jesus.
So one thing I want to plant the seed for is that not only are Caucasians and people who these crimes are being committed against at very high levels from African Americans getting tired of them, certain ones, obviously, not all of them, just the ones committing crimes, but African Americans are getting tired of African Americans. And we're going to hear some of that coming up, and some of it gets pretty deep. And I think that's something that's very interesting and very important in this conversation. I have a very good friend. We've been friends for 15 years. And when this, when they gave him the 35 years, he called me and we got into an argument because I said he needs to take accountability for what he did. And his parents aren't taking accountability for how they raised him or didn't raise him. And he immediately called me an Uncle Tom and told me that I wasn't as black as I should be or something to that effect, right? Something ridiculous. So it just goes to show there's two different types of mentality. And one type is living in the, we should all get reparations, you know, slavery ruined my life. And I always tell them, I'm like, no one who's alive right now was a slave master or a slave owner or a slave. No one. They've all died. So why are we wasting our time with this crap where you're like, oh, you know what? I need reparations for what happened 400 years ago. No, you don't. You need to get off. You need to get up off your ass. You need to stop living off just the government. If you need assistance, sometimes that's fine. but don't live off the government. Don't have 19 babies to get all those checks. And you need to go do something to make something of yourself and raise your children correctly. And we're going to get more into that stuff here in a minute. Yes, entitlement mentality. Exactly. Now, this is him walking out.
Is it book? Just keep on going. You want check. All right. All right. Come on. Just follow back behind us in the next. Just stay close, okay? This is fine.
So they're coaching him heading out to media.
Karmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say, Karmelo? Do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victim, to the family of the victim? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Karmelo, why were you armed at school?
Great question.
Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
Really? What do you like to say to the community that's donated?
So we got no statements, which is smart. You know, if you're going to be a criminal, keep your mouth shut. But, you know, the big question, why did you have a weapon at school?
You know, it's really interesting because if these people who are screaming that this case is built on race, where was the NAACP the entire time? Where was Black Lives Matter the entire time? Where was Al Sharpton and the blackity black folks that you usually see who run to a camera anytime a black person is in trouble or has been killed or something of that nature? You guys know where I'm going. Don't you notice that we haven't really heard from them? They've been kind of silent here. And none of them have actually been in front of a camera. So if they're not in front of the camera, maybe that tells you even they knew this was a case not willing to go in their favor. Now, obviously, I'm speculating, but I'm just using common sense, as they call it.
Now, again, there's a lot of African-American and mixed coming out against the people who are on the Karmelo Anthony side, saying that it was just self-defense. Okay. And typically you wouldn't see that. You would see all of them band together if it was truly a case of racism or something like that. That most people don't believe that this was a racist thing. They think that Karmelo Anthony was there for a purpose. Okay.
So I got a message to white America, right? Not even just white America, America in general. Welcome to the show. Because black folks been dealing with this shit, knowing about this. We've been avoiding. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about that particular sector of black folks within the black community that are the worst on the planet, in which I call them.
So all the beeps is him saying the N-word. But the takeaway is he's basically saying there is a certain segment of black folks that act a certain way. They give all black folks a bad name, cause the crimes. They're the ones running around the street, punching random people, attacking women, doing SA to people, stabbing people on trains, shooting each other. He's talking about that.
Karmelo Anthony trial did not expose division. I'm going to say it again. It did not expose division between white and black. It exposed how bad these sectors really are. And they did it at the national level. They did it under the spotlight. So now everybody can see, damn, I see why other black folks do not like this. White folks in particular. Let me tell y'all something. They hate you. They will always hate you. It's nothing you could do to get them to not hate you. They hate each other. They hate everything outside of their beehive. Right now, they are spreading AI-generated photos of themselves pissing on Austin Metcalf's grave. Do you think that's new to them? Do y'all think that's new to us? Listen to the rappers. Julio Fulio, for example. He was known for visiting the graves of his enemies and them at their grave. And if y'all don't see the difference between upstanding black folks and themselves, you're being disingenuous. These sect themselves on a national platform. They completely embarrass themselves. But you know what I love about this? Us upstanding black folks, we've been knowing about. We grew up. We got family members that are sect. Black folks move out of certain urban neighborhoods and urban inner city communities because they want to get away from sect.
I know it's bleeping a lot.
Everything that's going on right now.
I know it's bleeping a lot, but basically what he's saying is like black people don't even like this specific type of black person. That's what he's saying. He's saying it in a lot of different ways. And he says that they'll purposefully move out of their neighborhood or move away from their family or whatever they need to do to get away from that environment. Okay.
These folks walking up, attacking white folks. These folks looking stupid on their videos, talking about F all white people. We need to go at white people. Welcome to the show, because those are that we've been telling y'all about. Chris Rock said it before. It's a difference between black people and these talking about. All these folks making these videos, being crazy, being stupid, spreading misinformation, being outright racist. These people that are attacking y'all in y'all comment section, these are the sector. It is a clear difference. And like I said before, if you do not see that difference, you're stupid your damn self.
So what do you think about that? So, I mean, he he's right. And a lot of these people are right in what they're saying. There are certain people who act a certain way. They think something's, they think that they're entitled. They think they deserve all these different things and free this and free that. And they should be able to commit crimes and not be arrested. And in some, unfortunately, in some cities, that's the way it's set up. If you, I think it's like $1,000 or something. If you only steal $1,000 worth of stuff, then you can't be prosecuted. So they take advantage of that kind of stuff. And, these people, I've known a few of them my whole life that were that way. And it's always predictable, their behavior. They're the one where if they see a phone sitting next to them and the person gets up for a second to go to the bathroom or something at like a doctor's office, they'll just grab that phone and just take it. It's just the mentality is just off.
Karmelo Anthony is pitiless. Let's talk about it. After receiving $634,000 on Gifts and Go donations, they not only gave their son a public defender, they went ahead, they have this Escalade, this house, and everything. And you're sitting here concerned about your son. No, this is the money thing, a hustle. That's what this is. They're hustling you just like they did with BLM. BLM, they hustled everybody. Out of all their money, all these people donated their money to some stupid thing. This is a stupid case right here. Defending Karmelo Anthony is a stupid case. I hate to say it for you guys. He is legitimately guilty, and they're using this to start racial division and fundraise for themselves so they can live a better life. Like, okay, get with the picture, guys. Like, come on, don't let this be what you're going ahead and falling into. This discredits people who are actually going through like racial issues in their trials. That's not what this was. This dude literally pushed a kid. This kid pushed him, and then he stabbed the kid in the chest. That's what happened. That's murder. Find a better spokesperson. Find a better symbol of racial injustice than Karmelo Anthony, because he is not it. Thank you, Brett.
Now, if you get sad easily, this is Austin Metcalf's brother giving his account of it and trying to hold back tears. So if you get sad, then you can, pause it or I guess mute it, whatever you want to do during this. But it's not very long.
Your bigger brother.
It's not. He does a lot of big brother stuff around. He's always on my back. Even if I'm in the wrong, he'll always take my side no matter what it is. So it's just really heartbreaking to see someone that cares for you that much and does everything even by your side no matter what, just pass away like that. Mm-hmm.
Your mom told me that you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, if you don't mind, what happened?
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see.
So he had to watch his twin brother get stabbed and then bleed out in front of him and die.
That's why we got
Now, this right here, this is interesting. Let me get this back in position. Okay, so this is one of the big things I want to bring up. So aside from a certain type of behavior, we have to talk about why that behavior comes about. Why does a certain percentage of the African-American community act a certain way, even to the point where other African-Americans hate dealing with them and want to move away from them and talk bad about them? Okay. It's stuff like this. It's the way they're being raised. And if the fathers are not there, right? If the father's not present, which we saw like 70+% don't have fathers in the house, then at that point, the kid is set up for something really bad. And if you look at, overall stats, again, not my stats, that they have the lowest IQ of most of the nationalities in the U.S. on average, that's not a good situation. That's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, we gotta make it.
So she steals clothes and she's doing it in front of her kids. And she's burning off the tag.
That's why we gotta make it, because Bookie, I gotta go steal my outfits before my video shoot. Yo.
She said I have to steal my outfit before my video shoot. She's doing it in front of her kids. She's burning it so she can, I guess, disassemble it or take it apart. Her friend is embarrassed, or whoever this is covering her face. And this woman, I don't know if she sounds like she's high as hell, but yeah, this is kind of parents that some people have.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
I didn't put it on today.
Blow it. Mama, blow it.
And don't ask me why I'm still $40, bitch. Hang on. We need the thing. We need the thing to like scoop it up.
Go.
I'm not too British. Probably the right. Let's see what I do.
So she's speaking like she's not very bright, very low IQ behavior. She stole in front of her children. She's teaching her children how to get past the little security devices. I know someone was asking what was burning. It's like one of those little things. Yeah, the alarm tag. That's right, Swamp Lover. I was trying to think of the words, but yeah, the alarm tag. She's burning it. She's melting it so that she can disassemble it. And then, obviously the kids are breathing plastic or plastic fumes or whatever that was. And her friend or whoever's with her, sister, whatever, she's hiding because she's so embarrassed by her. And she's, calling the other girl, trying to get her to join in this behavior with her. That's part of the issue with why we're seeing this type of behavior from that sector of African Americans. Now, this woman right here, I believe she is linked to Black Lives Matter or something similar. And you'll see she has all the gold, gold jewelry and gold tea things, and looks like she's dressed pretty well. And, a lot of these people will go around and be very well off themselves, and they'll encourage the African American community to do things that are, crimes, but also things like we should all leave the country and just leave America to itself and that kind of stuff. But if you listen to what she says, she gives them two options, and both of them are bad options.
What it is going to take in order for us to get from under our oppressor's thumb. They are going to be violent anyway. So why would we continue to be peaceful martyrs to keep capitalism and white supremacy going? We cannot live like this. This is not sustainable. The American empire is falling anyway. So you have to make a choice now. Are you going to fall with it, or are you going to be a part of bringing it down and building something that is actually made within the image of marginalized people, most especially Black and Indigenous people? I believe that Black people can be responsible for themselves, govern themselves, create their own systems. But do you?
So she was saying the choices were let the system do whatever it's doing to them, or destroy the system as it's burning down. That's the only two choices. So either way, she wants it all to come crashing down. And that's pretty typical of these people. And like I said, they're well off and they'll leave. They have money. They don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. But everyone else, they try to they're almost like agents of chaos, if you think of it that way. Now, this guy, I think he says a decent amount of cuss words, but this is the pro Karmelo Anthony side.
And right off the bat, man, free Karmelo. Straight up. Straight up. No white lives. All lives don't matter over here, because on the daily, we get killed. And
so he said white lives don't matter. He said on the daily, we get killed. Now, remember, 88 to 90% of the black people that are getting killed are killed by other black people.
Ain't nobody. But when one of ours is protecting themselves, they get ambushed, they get threats, they get all of this. Smoking on that Austin pack. Like, I don't care anymore because it ain't nothing good that's in this shit. But they trying to lay the law down. Y'all gotta give it up. Y'all gotta give it up. It ain't over. It ain't over. Free Karmelo, man.
So I know people have a lot of comments on this guy. And if you look at the comments underneath, that original video, he gets roasted. But so I'm not going to say anything. But that mentality, like, free Karmelo, regardless of whether he's guilty or not for what he did, regardless of whatever he did, you know, whether it makes sense or not. And they're saying basically, like, screw white people. We should take out white people. We should hurt white people because of this particular case where he chose to stab somebody else and take their life. That's the mentality of this particular sector of African Americans that we're talking about.
Let's review the facts as we know them, right? Not the testimony, the facts. Number one.
This is him up here, by the way. I don't know if you can really see this, but it shows him with an evil looking face, a little lighter or something, and he's flipping off the camera. And then in this other one, I don't believe this is a real firearm. I think it's like it looks like an airsoft gun or something. But he's throwing out the little gang sign things, and he's with his buddies, and they cropped it. But he has like the gang look type thing, right? So I'm almost questioning to myself, like, behind the scenes, was he involved in something else? I don't have any proof of it, but it could be possible.
One, Karmelo Anthony is in the opposing team's tent for no good reason. Number two, he's armed with a knife. All right, those are not in dispute. Those are facts. Then we get the testimony. He's there. He's asked to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He says, touch me, you'll find out. According to the testimony, then Austin Metcalf puts a hand on him, gently shoves him, and then he reacts, reaches in, pulls out this knife. Why he had a knife at a track meet is going to be a big issue, I'm sure, going forward as we get to the defense and then, of course, the closing arguments. The action in this is going to come down to two areas. Number one, under Texas law, you can't provoke an incident and then claim self-defense. That's why I went into that recounting of the facts. He's in the tent, and then he won't leave, even after being asked numerous times. And he's from the opposing team, and supposedly they are strategizing how they're going to run the track meet, and so they want him out of the tent. And then the other thing is that your response, if you are threatened with force in Texas, is that your response has to be, quote unquote, reasonable. Even under the opening argument that his attorney made, which articulates the idea that Metcalf and his brother had sort of surrounded Karmelo, that doesn't, to me, rise to the level of pulling a knife and sticking it in somebody's chest. So I am hard-pressed here to see where they're going to go. They must have some really, really compelling witnesses on the defense side, because as of now, I don't see why they even went to trial.
So that's another interesting piece is a lot of people were claiming, or at least they said up front, that this team jumped Karmelo Anthony. So they made it seem as though, 4 or 5 or 6 guys were like punching him and kicking him and stuff. And that's why he pulled out his knife and stabbed him. And then the video came out and the jury has seen it. And they saw the autopsy results as well. And it looks more like no one was attacking him. Austin put his hand on his shoulder and asked him to leave. And then Karmelo Anthony, who already had his hand on his knife in his bag before he was even touched, said, touch me and see what happens. And then when Austin touched him, he stabbed him in his heart. Okay.
All right. So I've heard a lot of.
This guy here is now doing like street interviews, which I don't know if it's the smartest thing to do in this kind of situation when emotions are so high. But he's asking these people, like, what are your thoughts on it? What happened? And watch how they treat him. Like, watch this kind of behavior from, again, this sector of people.
About justice for Karmelo, right? Yeah.
Why?
Hey, so hey, I would have did it to him. I promise I would have. Same right. I would have did it to him.
But why?
I would have did it to him and his brother.
Okay, but for what reason?
Tell you why.
Yeah.
Them little boys came looking for trouble.
Okay.
You come looking for trouble. You don't know what fucking outcome going.
Sure.
You don't know outcome. You rob a bank. You don't know if you're gonna get the money.
Wait, somebody robbed a bank?
Hold on. Listen real quick.
Man, you want to play dumb,
Listen.
man.
No, I'm trying to.
So just really quick, I want to point out that he said that these white boys came looking for trouble. Now remember, Karmelo Anthony went to their tent, and Karmelo Anthony was the one sitting there and refusing to leave when asked like 15 different times nicely. And then he also refused to leave, pulled a knife, and stabbed him when he tried to remove him. Okay.
No.
No, I want to hear. Yeah. Let's talk about it. All right.
You can record it, motherfucker.
Yeah. No, I want to. You know, get insight.
You rob a bank, right? You might get the money. You might go to jail. You might be dead, right?
Right.
You fuck with the wrong. It's the same way. Them boys were looking for trouble. You know what happened? He got stabbed and he died because he was looking for trouble. That's self-defense. So if you can see that between your little ass.
Now you see this behavior change. This guy's now pointing in his face, getting in his face, and you can see here it gets even closer in a second, yells in his ear.
Do I have to tell you? I have to whisper to you?
So
you want me to whisper to you?
No, I just.
You want me to whisper it to you? You want me to whisper it to you?
Now you see this kind of behavior? This is the sector ends that the other guy was talking about. This is the kind of behavior that we're seeing way too often. This is low IQ, can't control themselves, maybe or maybe don't have a father at home, maybe grew up on the streets, maybe have a lot of bad friends, do drugs, criminals, I don't know. But this is not normal behavior. For someone to ask you a question and all of a sudden you're yelling in their ears, challenging them. That's just, he's going way over the top. So he's, going gangster, exactly. So he's so gangster that he's yelling in this kid's ear who's asking him a question.
You're yelling.
Real gangster, play with somebody else.
I'm just trying to get like some insight into the situation. There we have it, guys. From a real gangster.
That was funny.
This guy here is an OG.
Enough.
So this guy was an actual gangster, and he's calling out saying that the African Americans who aren't standing up on the Karmelo Anthony side are basically not man enough.
Justice for black people. How many decades and decades have to go by where you don't receive that? Your justice is justice. They kill one of y'all, you kill one of them. Our soldiers ain't gonna do shit. I'm talking to you. You ain't gonna do shit but kill up on your own.
So even he's acknowledging, he just said, you're not going to do anything except kill your own. So again, this is not me saying this stuff. This is the entire culture saying it about themselves. They're starting to realize what's happening here. This isn't a school. This is a typical situation that we see quite often happening now. I don't know if this is a girl or if it's a dude with long hair. Based on the voice, I think it's a dude, but yeah, my bleep skills are on point. I'm trying, man. There's so when every other word is an expletive with these people, it's very difficult to keep up. But yeah, so that you'll see that this person just goes and attacks this person in class, and it doesn't seem like it was provoked or anything. And you'll see this behavior gets worse and worse.
What did I do? What the fuck did I do?
No, shut the up, bro.
Now, that kind of behavior is happening all over the place. And we just saw it at the Knicks game. We're going to see a couple of videos from that. They don't have, I don't know if part of this was because of the Democratic push to not put them in jail for crime or to give them very light sentences. I'm not sure what exactly made this ramp up, but it's gotten much worse.
What do you want us to do?
What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin. You could not murder people. Now, I know it sounds totally ridiculous, implausible, but hear me out. If you don't stab innocent people through the heart for no reason, you'll be fine. You can do like 10 million other things. You could pick up a hobby. You could learn a new language, plant a garden, go for a jog. There's a nearly infinite list of things you can do with your day, especially in your case, because you presumably don't have a job and are on welfare. Your days are wide open to do just about anything you want. Just don't kill anyone or commit any other crimes. Aside from that, the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I think this put it best. No stabby stab. It's that simple, right? Teach your kids. You don't kill people who say something to you, or you don't kill people that push you. Now, if someone hits you, or they try to choke you, or you're being attacked by multiple people, do whatever you need to do at that point, right? This is kind of showing behavior, just like the entitlement when they don't get their way.
Felonies.
I don't know if her food stamp didn't work or what, but she flips out, kicks the machine, knocks stuff over. She's yelling at people. I mean, if you get that angry about anything, then you definitely need to find Jesus, and you need to do something about your stress. Do some yoga, some Tai Chi or something, drink some tea.
What killed me?
So for anyone that doesn't know, I know that some new people in here, but if you guys can hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already, consider becoming a channel member. If you have any questions, put them in a super chat so I can find them easier. But as far as what we're doing right now, we're going through examples of how people are just fed up. People are fed up with the whole racism thing in America. They're starting to open their eyes and see that it's a divisive tool that's used by certain people. And this is Austin Metcalf's father. Austin Metcalf was the victim, for those that don't know.
Was the body cam footage when I could hear Hunter screaming, oh God, my brother, my twin. As a parent, you always want to protect your kids. And to hear my son and the fear in his voice, and I'm not there to fix it.
The coming out of the Karmelo Anthony supporters team is rank. I honestly can't believe my eyes. Like, they're acting like they're the victims. They're acting like Karmelo Anthony was stabbed by Austin Metcalf, who got off. That's exactly how they're acting. That's not what Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf, taking this 17-year-old's life in an instant over nothing. He went into Austin's track and field tent during a track meet. They told him to leave because he wasn't part of their school. Each school had their own tent, though Karmelo Anthony's school apparently didn't have a tent for some reason. But that's not why he was there. It did begin to rain, but he was there intentionally provoking people. He obviously went into that tent looking for a fight because he went armed with a knife that was not a little Swiss Army knife like Jasmine Crockett and her ridiculous crowd of woke warriors were suggesting in their Zoom call the other day. And he then dared Austin to lay hands on him to make him leave the tent. Austin did lay hands on him in a way that was not violent in any way, barely moved him at all. And as soon as he touched Karmelo Anthony, Anthony plunged that knife into Austin's heart.
All right, now let's do a quick poll really quick, and we'll just do this in chat. So, yeah, someone says it was like a $12 or $13 knife, but it's more than enough to take your life. But let's do a quick poll. Put a 1 if you think that the situation warranted Karmelo Anthony stabbing him in self-defense, and put a 2 if you think that Karmelo Anthony basically committed murder based on what you've heard so far. Need some elevator music or something. A lot of twos. Yeah. So it seems like, it seems like everyone pretty much agrees, anyone who has any kind of sense for the most part. Now, someone said they like this angle. I just put a 1 to get things started, Cassidy. I always put a 1 or a 2 or something just to start the numbers going. But yeah, I think it was definitely, I almost think it's premeditated, to be honest. I don't know if he knew Austin or what, but it almost seems like he went there looking for trouble. You don't bring a knife in a backpack, grab the knife in your backpack while you're just talking to someone, and then dare them to touch you. That's that all seems very planned, almost like he went there that day on purpose. I was just reading the chat here. Was it okay? All right, cool. One thing I want to talk about too, really quick. We'll continue on the videos here in a second, but politicians and leaders definitely shape the rhetoric, right? So like during Black Lives Matter, we had a lot of people that were calling for aggression. They were calling for violence, like flat out. And it's on record. It's on social media. Calls to confront opponents in the street, bail funds for protesters. So they're encouraging the protesting, the riots and things that were happening and the crime that was happening. And then they would just front money to bail them out, right? So people weren't scared to do this stuff because they thought they would just get a free pass to get out. And then defund the police, which has basically died. And a lot of those movements, they'll last for a period of time. They'll cause a lot of problems, a little bit of disruption, and then they fade away. But we're seeing people try to keep reinvigorating this, giving CPR to this type of movement. And we're seeing that it's not working because people are starting to get enlightened to what's happening and they're not allowing them to take hold. And I think that needs to continue. But Charlie Kirk has been relentless on this. He said rejecting victim narratives, pointing to cultural and family breakdown as core drivers, and criticizing policies that ignore the data in favor of equity and excuses. Charlie ties it to post-1960s shifts that exploded single parenthood and correlated with crime rises. So Charlie believes that a big part of it was single parent homes. And that could be just a mother or just a father. But in most cases, as we've seen, usually it's the father that's gone. And then, there's a lot of solutions, 2-parent homes, cultural pushback against violence, glorification. That's a huge thing. Think about that. Think about how many, I don't know how old everybody is, but I'm in my 40s. So back when I was growing up, probably 3/4 of the music that we listened to, we're talking about sex, drugs, rock and roll. The hip hop was showing girls scantily clad, being treated like objects. They always glorified, the gold chains and the vehicles that were like bouncing, back then it was Dayton's. It wasn't like these big, like 55-inch rims, but violence was always popular. Talking about shooting somebody else was always popular. And we did have shootings and we had gang stuff happen. We had Bloods and Crips fighting. So that's the kind of stuff that we grew up with. And a lot of that stuff has kind of faded away in a way, sort of. But, we really need to not let them use this kind of divisive, these tactics that they've been using for years. People are starting to see it. And I'm glad people are finally seeing it and calling it out.
Oh my goodness. He's screaming help.
This guy had his bag taken.
Screaming.
This guy took it. Now look at this guy. Look what he's doing.
Chasing him. Yo.
Okay, so this guy here, for whatever reason, oh, hold on, I'm not sharing it. Hold on a second. Dang it, I did a Baron. I promised myself I wouldn't do a Baron this one. All right, here we go. All right. See if I can get this going. Rewind it here real quick. So this guy right here had his bag stolen, okay? And apparently he got his glasses knocked off and whatever else. So it sounds like he was actually assaulted. But let's keep watching.
Screaming.
This guy did it.
Chasing him.
And you'll see here, this guy, so the guy on the right is the one that assaulted the other guy and took his bag. The guy on the left is stopping him. He's physically grabbing him. He's grabbing the bag. Now, he's not punching them. They're not fighting each other. They're not going all out. And I think it's because they're both black, right? They're not trying to fight each other at the moment for whatever reason. But you'll see this guy grabs onto the bag and doesn't let go.
Yo.
And this represents the two different sides of the African-American movement. You have the side with morals that's trying to do the right thing, and you have the side that are criminals that seem like they're low IQ, just doing whatever they want.
Yeah, he's bugging out. This guy in black is bugging out. No? Yeah. A little kid screaming, help, help. He ran. He scared the life out of this little boy.
And then you'll see this lady walks up right here.
His glasses. Too much, man. All right, don't
Okay, so you had one African-American dude helped him and actually grabbed the other guy and was holding his bag. And then you have this woman, this other African-American woman, she walks up and hands him his glasses. So this just goes to show not every African-American is this way, but there is what that other guy called the sector ends, and they're the ones who are causing all the problems. And everyone is tired of it. Even their own people are tired of it.
My son didn't intend to hurt anyone. My son was defending himself.
It took less than 3 hours for a jury to reject 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony's claims of self-defense in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Prosecutors argued Anthony intentionally killed Metcalf after being taunted and shoved by Metcalf and his teammates at a high school track meet.
Now, that report saying that he and his teammates were shoving him is incorrect. That was an early report. No one put their hands on him except for Austin. And Austin just, I don't know if he shoved him or touched his shoulder or what, but no one punched him. No one jumped him. It wasn't multiple people attacking him.
Take us inside that courtroom. What stuck out to you?
What stuck out to me, number one, was the all-white jury. But I was trying to be, like, all right, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the truth is on our side.
Okay, again, the all-white jury thing, there were no African Americans, but there were other nationalities besides Caucasian. But do you think that, let's vote in chat, yeah, it wasn't all white, but there definitely weren't any African Americans. So in chat, put a 1 if you think that there should have been African Americans, because it's supposed to be a jury of your peers, and put a 2 if you think that it doesn't matter, as long as it's people making good decisions and taking the data and that kind of stuff that they're getting and making a decision. So 1 if you think that he should have had African Americans, and 2 if you think he just shouldn't have, like, it shouldn't have mattered, really. So kind of half and half, about 50-50. So that's one thing that was interesting to me too when I first heard this, is I was like, really? There were not even one African American person was in the jury for an African American murder? Thought that was pretty interesting. So that is one place where I'm kind of like, that seems a little slightly sketchy. But I believe the judge was African American. Okay. So the person with the final say, and actually before I quote that, let me double check. Was the judge for Karmelo Anthony African American? Let's see. Nope. Let's see. Looks like it was. So I guess there were 2 judges. So he had one black judge and it looks like another white judge. So he had both. But yeah, I do believe, the final judge was white. And then the previous one before, as I guess part of the trial, was black. So, but kind of interesting, right? You're into those situations where you're like, all right, so no African Americans in the jury, and it was a Caucasian judge. Is that fair? Is that a jury of his actual peers? It's a good question. More hate.
You telling me a grainy video is shown to jurors, but it was shown in 4K clear to the people that witnessed it? No witness on that stand had that little man's back? None? 0 out of 21 people being questioned? Come on, man, I'm done with all of that. I feel the same way about white people, the same way they feel about my people. Yeah, try one of us.
Now, when she says that, she's clearly angry. But listen to what she said very carefully. She said, I feel the same way about white people that they feel about my people. Now, which my people is she speaking of? Is she talking about the sector ends that the guy was talking about before? Right? Think about that. When they say stuff like that, like, you don't like black people, people hate black people, they follow around black people in stores. She said that the same way I feel about white people, they feel about me. Is she talking about the bad people, the African Americans committing crimes, the ones saying they need reparations for something that happened before any of us were even born? Are they the ones that are giving up on life and living off the government? Are they the ones that aren't taking responsibility or accountability for anything that they're doing? Is that the ones that people hate? Because that would make sense, because that's the ones who are causing issues in society.
Oh, man. Oh.
Now, I'll mute this. I'll let it play. But he's in public right now, and he keeps pulling out his gun in this video. He's showing money, pulling out his gun, pointing it with his finger on the trigger at his friend. But look what happens. The police show up because someone called, or they might have been right there. I don't know. And now he's getting arrested. But this is as ignorant and low IQ as you can get. Why would you do that? Why would you pull out your gun and try and show out for your friend in public? Like it's a good thing. That's like the dumbest thing. Oh, man. Now, this guy is on the, I guess, the side of justice, right? He's anti Karmelo Anthony.
Just stop it. Just stop it. I'm seeing people keep writing, both of these young men's life are ruined. Only person life is ruined is Austin Metcalf. That person is the only person life ruined. Karmelo Anthony, when he gets out of prison, can still have a child. He can still live his life. Austin Metcalf's life is ruined, not Karmelo Anthony. He got what he did as consequences. He get to live every day. He get to see his mama every day. He get to see his fake girlfriend every day. So spare everybody the white guilt, okay? Both children lives are ruined. No, one child life is ruined. Austin Metcalf. No, both families are not suffering. The Metcalf family is suffering because their child is dead and gone. The Anthony family only suffering because they can't hustle anymore. They can't grift off their son, Karmelo Anthony, who is exactly where he's supposed to be, in prison. Should be in prison, life no possibility. That's what he deserved because that's what he did. He put himself there. Nobody did. So all this sympathy, because I'm trying to stop the arguments from black and white. You are something's wrong with you.
So I think it's interesting. You see all these people. I'm trying to like kind of fill people out and analyze who's saying what, but it does seem more like the people who maybe are Republican or like further to the right of center are the ones who are anti Karmelo Anthony and the people that are calling out racism and all this kind of stuff. And it seems like the ones that are slightly to the left or maybe more Democratic are the ones who are really fighting it and saying all this stuff that they hate white people and calling people to go out and attack white people and all this kind of stuff. So I found that kind of interesting as well. This woman, no, this is where I believe I think this boy right here, he basically hits this guy. So this looks like Irina, I believe, the girl that got stabbed on the train. So this black guy is here, and he has a poster that says "All Lives Matter," I believe, and he has Irina on it. And this guy punches him because he has that sign.
I'm just holding a sign. Yeah, it does. Why you do that? Why you do that? That's assault. Hey, officer, he assaulted me. Don't do that. Why you doing that? No, that's assault. No. I got it on camera. Hell no.
So I'll say that those kind of people are easy to pick out once they act that way, but sometimes you don't know who's going to act that way up front. So you may see a whole crowd of people. I'm talking about Caucasians as well. They all look normal, seemingly functioning normal. And then there's always that one that they will sucker punch somebody or stab someone or shoot someone or hit them with a car or something. And something just snaps in their brain. And based on the research that I've done, it seems like a lot of them are lower IQ. They're just low IQ people and they can't process emotions properly. So they act out first. And then some of them will feel bad after the fact, but a lot of them will be like, I'm glad I did it.
So Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty, and people are already talking about rioting. Rioting for what? Please explain to me. What are you rioting for? Huh? The boy was found guilty. It was not self. You want to riot in the streets because this young black man was found guilty, killing an innocent white boy? How does that make any sense? So you think it should be okay? It's not. So to you, so apparently to y'all, it's not supposed to be a big deal if a black person kill a white person? And if the black person is young, they should be set free no matter what? Do you not know how racist that sounds? It sounds very racist because it is.
So someone's talking about the IQ. Now, if you just joined it now, first hit that like. Second, we're going to talk about something I quoted earlier. They were showing IQs of the different nationalities, right? And the highest is Asian. And then second highest was white. Third was Hispanics. And then blacks were at the bottom. Okay. That's based on these studies. And someone asked me to put the links in the description. So I'll make sure I have to remind myself to do that after. But most of it is from NAEP scores and stuff like that. And the sources are in here too. But someone mentioned environment. So yes, environment's part of it. So the scores and things, the school quality, the culture they grow up in, are their parents ignorant and are they uneducated? And even if they are educated, are they raising them in the proper manner to be upstanding citizens? Are they keeping them off the street? Are they watching who they're friends with and who they're being influenced by? It also says nutrition, right? If you have less money, in a lot of cases, you won't eat as well. Not always, but typically you're going to be eating cheaper, high processed food. That affects you as well, especially when you're growing up. The other thing that's interesting, they mentioned lead. So in Nebraska, I don't know what happened here, but we have very high lead in our soil. So much so that you can get like government grants and stuff for them to basically come and take the top, I don't know what it is, maybe like 24 or 36 inches of soil around your yard. And they'll take all that away and replace it with fresh soil that doesn't have lead in it. Okay. So I know for a fact that lead can cause IQ issues and things that they've seen around in certain areas of Nebraska for sure. But I'm sure it's not just here. And then single parenthood. I don't know how specifically single parenthood would lower your IQ, but I guess it depends on your parent. And then they say genetic is part of it as well. Substantial heritability of IQ within groups, 50 to 80% in adulthood. So 50 to 80% of people that have a low IQ, they get it genetically. Okay, that's interesting. Lisa's saying how many blacks live in Nebraska. There's a decent amount. There's some very large black communities. There's very large Hispanic communities. In fact, I think it's getting to the point now where there's less Caucasians here. I think the Caucasians have become the minority, to be honest. And actually, it's interesting you asked that because one of the highest crime rates of black on black crime was happening in, and might still be happening in North Omaha, like in the country, the highest rate of black on black murder. So yes, they are here. And let's see what else. Adoption studies, regression to the mean, global patterns. So yeah, the genetic piece that's a big part, 50 to 80%. So you have some environmental stuff, which would be the other 50 to 30% or 50 to 20%. But genetic piece is a big chunk of it. Okay. So I just wanted to show that because a lot of people are in chat, like, basically saying the IQ thing doesn't apply. I would say it probably does, unfortunately.
Black women, especially Black women who have Black male children, live in fear and agony every single day. A fear and agony that I promise you, the Metcalfs probably never spent a day living that way.
Now, there may be some truth to this statement she says. She says she's a mother, she has boys, and she says that the Metcalfs in their culture and where they live and how they've come up, especially the sons, have not had to live in the fear every day of losing their African American boy because there's statistically significantly higher chance of being murdered or killed or in gangs or getting arrested or something similar. So that part I think is true. But listen to what she said. They didn't have to live that way. They didn't have to live in fear. No, they skipped that and went straight to losing a son, right? So that's a major issue.
And we're going to have just some real conversations about race in this country.
Father going off here.
Drew Anthony, Kayla, you're cowards. You wouldn't even show up for your son's sentencing or victim statement impacts. You abandoned your kid. You left him there. I guess he's no more use to you because you can't get any more GoFundMe money or GoSendGo money. You are grifters. Ashamed of yourself. You raised that child. And I swear to God, CPS to show them check on those other 3 that you still have. You never once admitted or took accountability. You tried to play victim. The real victim is the one who died, not the one who shoved a knife in his chest.
And also, as far as I know to date, the father and mother of Anthony have not apologized or given any condolences at all to the Metcalf family for Austin being murdered.
Out to me, number one was the all
This
white
is a repeat.
but I was trying to be, like, all right, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, the truth is on our side.
All right, now this is very interesting. This guy is apologizing. You'll hear in a second. He's apologizing to Mr. Metcalf, okay? The father of the son that got murdered. But this guy, if you go watch Mr. Let Go, he had a really interesting thing on this today where basically it seems like this particular guy that you're going to see here in a second, he works for or works with, he says, allegedly, someone who with TPUSA. I think it's Adrian something. Basically, he's like a pawn. So they use him to do this kind of information and spread disinformation and cause division, right? And shake things up. So if you want to know more about this particular guy who's apologizing here, he didn't start this way. He was going all out after Mr. Metcalf, telling him he would box him and all this kind of stuff and like basically threatening him, right? The guy who just lost his son. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check that out at some point too, because he goes a little bit deeper. Let me jump back over here.
I want to say this to the Metcalf parents. If I have said anything that hurt you, I ask for your forgiveness. Forgive me. I was in my feelings, I was in my emotions, and I was in my own ideology at that moment. And with that being said, I want to talk to the father, not the mother. When I look at this situation, the absence of the mother in front of the camera lets me know that's a grieving mother. And I want to tell you, Mr. Metcalf, I have no quarrels with you, sir. I initially agreed with you, as I do still agree with you. I did my best. I did my best. I heard you say it, and I made a call without hearing you say it. This is not about race. You have every right to be angry. You have every right to hate. And I'm telling black people, nobody have a right to be mad at you. You don't have a right to be mad at those parents. If we take us out of it and put those 2 kids back of it because we lost 2 children, we're arguing. We brought race into it. Black people introduced it. White people accepted it. From start to now, I've been trying to reject it. Why? It takes the focus off both children.
So I think even though he had the initial videos that came out where he's saying all these horrible things, he made a good point. It's about the children. It's about Austin being murdered. It's about Karmelo Anthony being in jail, making a bad decision, and possibly being brought up incorrectly or with not enough guidance or with abuse. I mean, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. It's, I'm just guessing. That's just my opinion. But you see all this different stuff, but it's not about the children. But people made it about race. And it was a certain group of people that made it about race. And those people are the ones who are going around smacking veterans and homeless people, telling them they were in the jury and doing it for fun, making it a challenge, saying they need reparations. You have his parents acting crazy, spending the money on a new home, living the life while he's in jail. They didn't go to the track meet that he actually stabbed Austin at, and they didn't go to his sentencing, right? Not supportive, not around, not present. This right here is a group of, I think they said 300. It's 300 African-American students that just start fighting everyone, breaking stuff, rioting, just acting crazy. Very similar to Black Lives Matter, very similar to when they go into these stores in these democratic states where they allow them to commit crimes and get away with it, or they give them very like small sentences. And this is the kind of behavior that you see. It's like a hive mind.
Valley. What is the next one?
Now, look at this down here. So you have the students that were all acting up. Like I said, there was like 300 of them. There was a ton of them. But, I mean, they're doing selfies down here and they're twerking, right? And this is pretty typical in these like hood ghetto communities. At every event, no matter what it is, it could be a kid's birthday party. You're going to see a bunch of hood rats that are down here twerking and doing stupid stuff like that. You know, so you'll see guys fighting and puffing out their chests. So you don't see any discernment, right? They just follow what everyone else is doing, and it keeps escalating. It keeps going up. It rarely goes back down. And this is Austin Metcalf's family leaving. And I believe this is some of Austin's friends. And as they're leaving, I don't know why they didn't have security on them. So I don't know if it was like I hope they didn't do it on purpose, but they sent them out without security. And as they're going out, they get confronted by a crowd of black people. And they actually say, "I'm glad Austin's dead." This is the kind of people that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Hey, we glad Austin dead. I'm glad Austin is dead. So big ass food. You guys knew he was a party. You guys knew he was a party.
I want you guys to know that I am 6 foot even. My phone is at my head, and the guy in the back is his brother.
So the block in the car, they have no security, and they told him they're glad Austin's dead. Imagine how you would feel. You just went through court. You're walking out with your family, and people are saying they're glad your child is dead. I mean, just you can't even fathom the kind of evil that must be in these people.
Karmelo Anthony was.
And I want to see. There's a few specific videos I want to make sure, because I know we've been doing this for a little while. So let me grab a few that I want to make sure we see. I won't do all of them,
And stabs.
because I have a lot of them. Because there's a lot, but we'll cut it. We'll do like maybe 15, 20 more minutes.
Let me tell you sorry ass individuals a little bit of something about these white folks and this guy who's yelling and screaming Donald Trump. They don't need Donald Trump. He's grandstanding. Because they see you punch old white people in the face. They see you snatching old white people's purses or sitting in electronic chair. They see you pushing old white women on the ground. They see you walking up in restaurants, creating havoc and chaos and punching someone in the face because they got the soda order wrong. They see you walking in these places, spitting on people. They see you spitting on women or pushing their carriage. They see you assaulting veterans, old people, getting up in people's faces and grieving and beefing. They see it. They hear it. So now they're tired of it. So when they come after your ass, you can bet it. Dollars to dimes. They're not going to be playing, man. Because they don't hold the gun sideways. They don't run out of slippers that they ain't wearing. They don't run up on somebody and get their ass whooped. That doesn't happen with them. They know how to use these weapons. They know what they're doing. So when they come after you, you're not going to be ready for their smoke. So don't act like you will be. Because half of you couldn't hit a shovel up close. Well, this is what they do. They have arsenals. And they go shoot. They go hunt. They're not playing games if they come after you. And because you bootlicked us, you Uncle Tom'd us.
Now, for those who don't sure what that is, like the Uncle Tomming and the bootlicking and that kind of thing, that's where they're basically telling certain black people that they're not black because they don't go along with this narrative of like the race baiting and all that kind of stuff, right? And he's saying because you did that.
And all cooned us and all the rest of it, if you were dying in the desert of thirst because you ran from them, I wouldn't throw a cup of piss in it.
So he's saying that this certain sector of African Americans, and someone said it in chat, it's not all of them. The ones who are doing it know who they are. And the ones who are doing it, the other ones know who they are too, because they're sick of it too. He's saying he wouldn't even piss in a cup if you were in the desert dying of starvation and dehydration. So they're just tired of it. They're getting fed up.
I would not help you, man. I wouldn't give you a Band-Aid or throw Mercurochrome or anything else. You're on your own. Good luck.
And I wanted to show the grandmother because this kind of reminds me of like Rodney King and stuff like that. She starts a chant basically saying like racism, discrimination, and something else, right? She's trying to like make it about race very directly.
Racist, biased, negative, racist, biased. And we got him. A white person can hit a flashpoint and get away.
That's it. Yeah. They send a message, man. Yeah. It ain't the end.
So she's chanting racism, bias, discrimination. So again, they're pushing for that division. So basically what it comes down to, I'm trying to condense this. I know this is like a lot of information, but I think based on these videos that I chose, it makes sense what I'm trying to get to. But it seems like there's a portion of society that is acting a certain way. They're acting low IQ. They're acting like fools. They're doing terrible things to a lot of people. For some reason, primarily white people. And it's almost like they're hunting white people, to be honest. And they're also hunting each other, according to the 88 to 90% of black people killed are killed by other black people. But the behavior you see doesn't make sense. It's like they go from being an adult who can make adult decisions and discern things to a childlike state that is violent and aggressive and foolish. And I can't explain it.
The judge as well in this case that it was not a case about race, but you cannot deny that just the facts of the case and what we've seen play out.
So this guy that's jumping right here is with a crowd of other black people and they're chanting and he's trying to intimidate this old man. He's jumping in his face. He's giving him crazy eyes. And I don't know what the point of this is. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish, but you see a police officer back here watching them close because this is how it starts and then it ramps up. This guy cusses a lot, so we'll skip that. Even my beeps couldn't fix him. All right, let's go to this one.
Only black people are at the point where they will feel sorry for the criminal and the murderer more than the actual person who's not with us anymore. The actual victim, they don't care about. Everyone feels sorry for this little monster. I never felt comfortable around you. I got the hell away from y'all. Y'all think this is a game, like, oh, you're just saying this for likes and clicks. No, I'm not even near you. My kids don't go to school with you. This ain't for likes. This is for real. Like growing up when my friends would come over, hey, my dad would check him at the door. Listen, man, you got to take that do-rag off.
You hear that? So his dad is checking his friends. His dad is verifying the kind of people that he's hanging out with. And that could be a huge piece that's missing from this. If the father's not there, who's going to do that? Right? And 70% plus of these people don't have fathers in their homes.
This do-rag ain't allowed here. My dad didn't like do-rags. Because he watches the news. He see who's doing the killing. Take that do-rag off before you come over. And that's all. Like, and you know, when I was a kid, I didn't understand. I'm like, why is dad like this? What's going on with dad, Ma? Why is he tripping? Why is he embarrassing me? My mom sat me down, told me a story. Listen, your dad's seen a lot of things. What do you mean, Ma? What happened? You know, I never told you this, and don't tell your father I told you, but when we were young, you know, we used to party at your dad's house, you know, when we were 16, and his brother had just come home from the military. His brother was...
Yeah, sorry to cut that story off, but I had to get to the next thing.
If we take up for ourselves, we go to jail. If we don't, we die. So it's a catch-22 in this situation. What do you want us to do?
What I and most of the world want you to do is to stop acting like you're the victim when you're not. What I want you to do is to teach your sons that bringing a knife to a track meet is not the way to go. What I want you to do is to stop acting like you're oppressed. White boogeyman is not out to get you. What I want you to do is to turn to God, repent of your sin of being obsessed with race, making everything about race, playing the victim card. Every race-obsessed individual, we're over it. It's like the boy who cried wolf. We've had enough. Every rational, common sense folk in the world is tired of it. We have black ghetto fatigue. All you guys do are throw around insults and act entitled. You lack accountability. We want you to have accountability.
Boom.
I sure learned something from this. I learned to tell my sons, if a white boy, do not argue with no white boys. Because, baby, ain't no law protecting you if something goes down with them. That's what I learned from this case. I'm going to tell my sons, you argue with a white boy, walk, because the law don't protect you when it comes to dealing with.
Okay, so it's interesting. So a lot of these mothers, a lot of these black mothers, let me get this back in position. A lot of the black mothers will say that their sons are at risk, and it's true. But, you know, she's saying, like, I think what they're trying to say, what I'm trying to summarize them. They're basically saying, so we can't protect ourselves if someone comes after us. And we also can't go after someone who's trying to protect themselves. So we're just stuck in the middle where we can't do anything to protect ourselves or like live like, free people that can do what they need to do and defend themselves. And that's not what the law's saying, and that's not what anyone's saying. They're saying if you jump from 0 to stabbing or 0 to shooting or 0 to 50 people jumping one person, that is not normal. Okay.
Comes to dealing with.
So we have Peter saying triggers adding to the culture wars. If you're watching anything that we're showing here, then you would understand that that's a really dumb statement. So I don't like calling people out, but that was just ignorant.
So you know what I find funny, man? It's crazy how black people will come together, try to start a boycott. They showing up at courthouses. They hitting the streets, marching. They trying to protest when a Chinese man kill a nigga. And when a white court system find a nigga guilty of killing a white. But you know what I find funny, what I don't agree with, is where's all this energy when a black person is killed by another black person, especially these young black teens. Like when these kids, and that's what they are, kids, when these kids are laid out in the street, slaughtered, murdered, victimized at the hands and the cause of another black, where's the black community then? Where's the unity? Where's the support? Where's the accountability?
Did you hear what he's saying? It's very important. He said, when a black person kills another black person, when their kids are lying dead in their neighborhoods, getting shot or stabbed or jumped or whatever it may be, where is the support then? That's a huge question. So the support comes out when there's a lot of publicity and GoFundMe's and rage baiting and racism that they can spread. But when it's happening every day right in front of them with their family, their brothers, cousins, sisters, whatever, they're not backing each other up. They're not doing anything with it. So something to think about.
See, what I don't like is y'all pick and choose when y'all want to stand for what's right and for what's wrong. And it's like whenever it's a black person doing it to another black, y'all turn the blind eye, y'all become cowards, and y'all get the hush mouth. But the minute somebody outside of the black race do the same shit, that it becomes an issue. It sparks controversy. Everybody want to speak up. Everybody want to hit the streets. Everybody want to voice their opinion. But where's all this doing it? Because I can guarantee you, 90% of these black people who doing all this, let's boycott and, oh, Karmelo Anthony this. I'm willing to bet 90% of those have lost a loved one, a friend, family member, somebody they cared about at the hands of and senseless violence. And I'm more than willing to bet that they did not have none of this energy. But this the bandwagon that black people love to jump on and try to use whenever they feel they're going to get clout, likes, views, a viral moment, monetary gain. This is what they do. And to me as a black man, I feel like that's fake, that's hypocrisy, and that's false, that's fake. If you're going to be real, be real. If you're going to be fake, be fake. But ain't no in the...
So that's interesting. Now, a lot of this stuff is, I see someone talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah, I mean, that's whole, maybe we can do that one for the next true crime segment. Maybe we can do the Rittenhouse setup, but he actually speaks out on this one too. I think I have a clip of him somewhere. I don't know a super ton about that one. I just know that apparently people were jumping him and he shot him. That's all I know about, is like during like riots or some kind of protest or something that didn't stay peaceful. So I can look more into that, but let's see. Yeah, guys, let's keep chat civil. I know this is a strong emotional thing. That's why I want to talk about this, but let's not be arguing in here. We're all pretty neutral, right? So we try not to pick sides. We try to see both sides of everything. So if you have a problem with someone, you can block them. If they're causing major problems, then I can kick them. So, but we always give a warning, at least one. This is the father again.
4 individuals who were friends of Hunter and Austin's, and they were coming after the trial to meet us where we were at the undisclosed location. And there was a mix-up at Collin County Courthouse as far as security procedures, and they let them walk out without any protection whatsoever. They were immediately surrounded to trying to get to their car. And these are 17, 18-year-old kids, friends of Hunter and Austin's. One was a female, 3 were male. The things they said, we're gonna piss on Austin's grave. We're glad that Austin's dead. Just continual vile outbreak and trying to really disturb them and impede their progress. And they finally made it to the car. They made it to us. They were visibly shaken, crying, upset. I was upset, one, because of the lapse of security. But it just goes to show how this certain set of a certain subculture, and I mean very small percentage. I'm not trying to pick on any certain race, but I am going to identify one subculture of a race that does continue this type of behavior. I don't think it represents the entire race. I have many friends of different.
He was saying he has many friends of different ethnicities. Now, again, the issue that happens here is when you talk about the segments of this community that are acting this way and doing violence and calling for violence and attacking white people and committing the crimes and stabbing people on trains and doing all this crazy stuff. When you talk about that small segment, then all of a sudden people try to make it about race and say you're talking about all of them. So you're saying all black people this or all black people? Nope, sure didn't say that. So anytime someone starts those kind of conversations with you, it's not worth your time to talk to that person because they're not thinking correctly. They have one track, they have one agenda, and they're going to stick to it.
See, I consider myself to be a Christian woman. And I'm not perfect by any means. I sin just like everybody else do. Because the level of hate that I have, that alone, I feel like I believe that it will send me straight to hell. Because it's cases like Karmelo Anthony's that really truly send me. The mindset of you niggas truly need to be studied. And see, something told me not to react initially because a lot of things about this case just off the rip didn't even sound. And one thing about our people, we are just so emotional. The best way to get us stirred up is to make it about race because we are the biggest racists. And with that, we play the victim mentality card. Something always has to happen for us to misbehave, and it's because we're Black. Nothing just happens to supersede that. All the facts that we can literally just shove in your face will go literally out of the window because you were violated, because you were Black. See, I truly believe that boy had all the intentions on killing somebody that day. Because here's the thing, you are a whole track star. You know how things are ran and how things go. But yet you chose to go to the opposing team's side with a backpack and a weapon. Why are you there with a backpack and a weapon? Now, these folks asked you 15 times to leave from their side, and you refuse to go. Instead, you make a threat saying, around and find out. And you mean to tell me that nothing about that was premeditated? You was ready to use whatever you had in that book bag. Even with this boy shoving you. You could have just beat his ass or stuck him, something. But no, you wanted to kill because you reached inside that book bag and you stuck this boy in the chest. There was too many opportunities for him to turn around and walk away from the situation. But no, he really wanted to harm someone. And all because this boy pushed you, you felt like it was an opportunity for you to kill somebody. Now you want to claim self-defense. And you dumbass is sitting up here saying that a boy, a human being, was worth losing his life over a push.
And this is one of the guys I was talking about that is like well off, has money, is successful, and then listen to what he calls for. And this is the kind of stuff that, you know, that community needs to look out for. I know when I was younger, you know, basically growing up in a probably 90% Black community, we heard this all the time. Like, whitey's bad. The government's out to get Black people. We should get reparations. If they don't treat us right, we should boycott and leave the country and go back to Mother Africa. We heard all this stuff all the time.
I want you to begin to think about this America and the white people problem that we have. I'm going to make a statement. We know that Martin Luther King, the beginning of his work was all about integration.
Hold on, so Drip, I don't know if you're a bot. I don't know if you're an actual person or not, but you know, it seems like you're trying to start arguments. So I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and pursue. I'm gonna assume that you actually are serious about the question. So you say Anthony was confronted by two linebackers. How could he fight both of them? So first thing, why did he bring a knife at all to the track meet? Why does he have a knife in a backpack? Regardless of who confronts him. And then second, why did he go into the opposing team's tent and refuse to leave when asked over 15 times before anyone ever touched him? And then why would he walk into, like you said, it's two linebackers confronting him? There was a lot more people than that confronting him, but only one person touched him. Okay. So if he's brave enough to walk with a knife in his backpack to an entire team, right? There were dozens of people there. It wasn't just two linebackers. So he was brave enough to walk up to the entire team, sit in their space, and say, I'm not moving. And if you put your hands on me, I dare you to put your hands on me. You're going to pay for it. F around to find out. That was the mentality he had when he went there. Okay. So whether it was two linebackers or the entire team or one person his same size, His mentality was like a predator. He was going out to find somebody, anyone. He was challenging anyone to challenge him, and then he was going to stab him.
We do know that later on that did change. Integration has had great benefits. I think now, unless you must stay in America, unless you are supposed to be in the USA. Otherwise, if you're Black, integration has had great benefits. I'm telling you, and I'm saying this as a collective, let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. I repeat, integration has had great benefits, Black people. For some of us. Let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build.
Let this be a lesson to us, especially to teach our young Black boys, because we have definitely seen this in our community where the slightest of things has touched off something that can't be reversed. So we need to be having conversation with our young Black boys about emotional regulation and decision-making and discernment and wisdom. And those are not easy conversations to have in a world that sees them the way that they do, but we have to have them to save them.
This is interesting. So Richie Dupe is saying, ha, 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 the Africans don't like American Blacks. That is 100% true. That is something that blew my mind. So when I was growing up, and especially now, I learned that Africans and African Americans, first of all, are not the same thing. And second of all, they don't really care for each other. They have nicknames for each other that are derogatory. A lot of times they'll fight. They try to steal each other's girlfriends and that kind of stuff. Like it's crazy. So they treat each other like completely separate groups, completely separate races, just like white and Black.
To preserve them, we have to have them.
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I don't get nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more. What do you want us to do?
I also had 5 boys. She doesn't know what to do after the Karmelo incident, like what to tell her sons, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and try something. Today, boys, when you go out into school, don't stab any other kids. You think you guys can do that? You feel good about that, man? You feel good about that, Ace?
Yeah.
Oh, you're the Aunt Cheryl. This is Ace. So, is that a good commitment from everybody? We're not going to stab any kids today?
Probably not.
Hey, try that, lady. That might work.
Guys, I'm coming to you in love. Please don't take it as me criticizing you. I have to tell the truth. Out of love, I have to tell you the truth to try to keep your children out of jail. I have to. This whole Karmelo Anthony thing has got me just... I'm saying this in love to keep your children out of prison. All right? I'm not here to put credit on my Black card and tell you what you want to hear. You want that? You go talk to Jasmine Crockett or Jamal Brain. Deion Joseph's going to tell you the truth because I actually love you and I don't want to see their kids go to prison. I don't want to see another Karmelo Anthony incident. So out of love, I'm going to take the time to educate you so you can give this to your children and we can prevent this from happening. I want to explain to you all what a deadly weapon is. All right? Now, we have a lot of people on social media right now. Oh, well, he possessed a knife that was legal. That's true. That's absolutely true. But you are lying. You are being disingenuous when you don't tell the other part of it. was not illegal for him to have a knife. Perfectly legal. What was illegal was the manner in which he used it that ended up causing the death of another young man. What is it? What is assault with a deadly weapon? No, what is a deadly weapon? A deadly weapon is any item used in a violent manner that has the potential to cause serious bodily injury or death. So let me run down a list of things to kind of get your minds working as to what a violent weapon is. Is a brick a violent weapon? No. Is a brick being thrown at the face of another human being a violent weapon? Yes.
So someone said, is this legal at the school event? No, you're not supposed to have knives, guns, nothing. Like that. School events, some bars, church, government buildings, those are all basically off limits for any type of weapons whatsoever. So no, he should, like, if he would have gotten caught by the resource officer with that knife at that event, he would have gotten in trouble. So it was not supposed to be there. Yeah, and Pitsy says he could have had a pencil. Don't stab anyone ever. Now, self-defense is a whole different thing. But in this case, it doesn't appear to be self-defense. And everyone in the courtroom agreed with that except for his defense. So, I mean, any knife is deadly. Anything sharp is deadly. Anything blunt that you hit someone with that's heavy enough and cause enough damage is deadly. So, I mean, humans can turn anything into something that could take someone's life. Now, this woman right here, this is an example of the mindset where you have some people that just snap. So watch this guy, watch these two actually. You'll see this guy right here is like, whoa, that's a lot. And this guy is just kind of like derp, right? But watch how this woman acts and look at her face and her aggression. This is not a normal reaction, okay? It's not her children. It's not her family, right? This is one of the women that's making it about race.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion here. Yeah, he murdered him.
You see those eyes? They almost look like Ben gave Ultra eyes or something. She looks insane. And then this is I think I have two videos of this, but this is another example. This is the Knicks fans, and this says they're destroying the restaurant, but what they're actually doing is they're attacking this other guy. And I don't know if this angle shows all of it, but you'll see. And the people are just like hanging out watching. It's like a sports event or something.
Oh, I mean.
See how they all just join in?
It's crazy.
It's like hive mentality.
Oh my God.
They're all hitting him with chairs, punching him, kicking him, throwing stuff at him. And other ones are just joining in. Then they run away. Someone said two. Is that what it was? Was that two guys in a burger or two guys in a cheeseburger? Someone says not two guys in a burger. That's funny.
Some data. Give me something I can use. They love to live in the world where they can never be held accountable for the conservatives. At least do that. That's why there's so many spats on the right, because at least you're providing something that is a foundation. You're providing something that's a backboard. You can have a foil. You can say, well, no, that's wrong. Here's some data that provides some context. They don't even start off with anything that can be verified. It's all feelings, and the only claims made are false. Of course, you can have guns or knives at public protests. You can't have them at school events. Anyone who has a concealed carry permit knows that you have the right to carry, and there are certain spaces where you cannot, namely schools, government buildings, courthouses. But the primary law I know this is remedial for some of you, but I just really hope if you leave with nothing else today, we can get into the laws of carrying, we can get into the laws of size of blade. The primary law violated is even if you are in a space where you are allowed to carry a knife, and there are plenty of those places. I often carry a knife, an actual multi-tool. There's a gray area. I'll tell you where it's not. You're not allowed to use said knives in any circumstance to commit murder.
The first of what's expected to be several track and field teammates of Austin Metcalf testified as witnesses during the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. Those who were under the tent at Kirkendall Stadium on April 2nd, 2025, described the scene before, during, and after the fatal stabbing. A 17-year-old testified, "I remember people confronting Karmelo and saying, 'You shouldn't be here. You probably should leave our tent.' I also said you should leave."
Okay, so that's the first part. So multiple people said you should leave. You shouldn't be here, okay? And I know someone was talking about how he should be able to go there and do whatever he wants. No, he shouldn't. You can't just go to another team's tent and hang out. Just like you can't walk into some other school and just hang out, right? It's the same thing. It's not your property. It's not your area.
Prosecutor, was it aggressive? I don't think so. I remember it getting more aggressive. I remember Karmelo refusing to leave and Austin saying, "You need to leave," and Karmelo saying, "Touch me and find out."
Okay, so you have multiple people that are trying to de-escalate this and asking him to leave. Now, I don't know 100%, but I don't think they would ask him to leave if he wasn't actually doing something, okay? So if he wasn't a threat of some sort or giving off a certain vibe or giving people dirty looks or maybe even talking crap, we don't know. Whatever he was doing was making them uncomfortable and they knew he shouldn't have been there. So they asked him multiple times nicely to leave. That's before anything else happened. And then what he did is he reached in his backpack, had the knife in his hand already, and said, "Touch me and find out." Okay. So he wanted something to happen. He could have just left.
That student and others say the defendant was asked to leave as many as 15 times. Prosecutors asked him, "Did anyone try to gang up on him?" His answer, "No, sir." How long did this go on? Roughly 2 minutes. Was Karmelo angry? Yes, sir. Was Austin angry? Yes, sir. Karmelo started refusing to leave. Prosecutors, who was provoking? Karmelo. Austin leans in to push him and Karmelo stabs him. Karmelo had his hands inside a backpack and we thought it was a bluff.
So the kids were aware. Let me go back to that quote. So the kids were aware that he had his hand in his backpack and I don't know if they thought it was a bluff, maybe thought he had a gun. I don't know if they, I don't think a knife would have been the first thing someone would have thought of. I would have thought a gun if it was me. But they thought he was bluffing, and apparently Austin leaned in to push him, and he got stabbed in the process. So according to the witness, Austin didn't even touch him yet, right? So that's interesting. I hadn't seen that piece yet.
He says he and others didn't believe Karmelo would do anything because they live in a, quote, safe community. Austin fell down the bleachers onto his back and he got up. He lifted up his shirt where his chest was all bloody and he said, "I think I got stabbed." Prosecutor, did he say anything? I think he said, "Oh my God." Another student, Jalen Matthews, backed up the state's case when prosecutors asked him, "Did it look like Austin was trying to pick a fight?" His answer, "No, sir." "Did it look like Karmelo Anthony was trying to pick a fight?" "Yes, sir." "Did this look like self-defense to you?" "No, sir." "Was Karmelo Anthony the aggressor?" Witness, "Yes, sir."
So based on the witness statements, it seems like he was there. He was causing problems. They nicely asked him to leave. He didn't leave. And when they eventually got to the point where they're like, "Okay, well, we're going to have to help you leave," as Austin reached in or started leaning towards him, he got stabbed. So to me, it seems like he wanted this to happen. He was instigating and he thought he was a badass and was untouchable. So it's unfortunate. I don't know why, he could have just been having a bad day. Maybe this was, I don't know. Like I said, maybe he was in some gang stuff and it was like an initiation or something. I don't think so. But like, I'm trying to think of ways to explain this behavior. I don't know anyone in my life that would act that way. So very strange.
Happened with Karmelo Anthony, it was a tragedy. We're praying for him and we're praying for his family. But let me tell you what the greater tragedy is. Black America, you know how to weep for our young men before it's too late. You don't weep now. You weep when they're in the grave. You weep when they're standing trial. That's when you weep. You should be weeping right now for the young men that are spinning around our community, that are sliding in our community, and that are getting hats in our community. You should be weeping because of drill music that the Democrats are not talking about. Don't weep before it's too late. You need to weep right now.
And that goes back. You guys are gonna, this clip's kind of funny, but that goes back to what he was saying before, and what we've been saying this whole time is, you know, the time to act in the Black community to prevent this type of behavior, to prevent this kind of stuff from happening. Even besides this Austin Metcalf situation, Karmelo Anthony, his father was present. They weren't hurting for money. So he doesn't fit the traditional stereotype of, you know, quote unquote, like poor Black America or whatever. So he doesn't fit that stereotype. But in general, in the African-American community, especially with dads missing, 70+%, he's saying that they need to be actively caring about the Blacks killing Blacks in their own community and putting a stop to it and making it a cultural shift and not just reacting when something like this happens and then making it a big deal. It needs to be a big deal all the time. Yes, state decline. Matt is half Black. My dad is Black. Yeah, ZenQ, I'm pretty sure these are like AI generated eyelashes, but you know, they look good on him, right?
Free Karmelo Anthony. He ain't do nothing wrong. Y'all bitch ass motherfucker convicted another Black man who innocently stabbed that white kid. Y'all motherfuckers can't be touching Black folk no more, okay? This royal blood. This different than George Floyd, Trayvon Martin. This some motherfucker. Okay, free Karmelo. Y'all better be posting your Black squares or y'all ain't gonna get this Black ass. And if the Black community doesn't donate that money to my Cash App, then y'all gonna let Karmelo Anthony suffer. I need my motherfucking reparations for what y'all did to Karmelo.
Now, as crazy as that sounds, and as much as he's playing and joking around doing a skit, some of that mentality is what you see, unfortunately. And I don't know where that comes from, but I've seen it my entire life, you know, from the time I was like 8 or 9 years old. I had people around me that were that way, still that way. And I can't even talk. Matt is our favorite half and half podcaster creator. Yeah, I was actually talking about that the other day. How I think every creator I know, I think they're all Caucasian. I'm trying to think if there's any. Well, I guess Mr. Let Go. Mr. Let Go is Black. But other than that, yeah, they're all Caucasian. There's a lot of them. A lot of them. Miss Jackson, let's see. I'm a new member. Do you hate me? No shout out. I haven't gotten to those yet. Let me see. Are you in here? I don't see you in here, but yeah, we'll give you a shout out. Thanks for becoming a channel member and the support and everything else. I saw Moon Goddess was trying to shout you out there too, but I was going to wait till I was done with this stuff to do the super chats and questions at the same time. So I apologize for that. Oh, Coach. Yeah. Coach. Now, someone said Candace. I don't talk to Candace at all. I've never talked to her once, never exchanged an email or text or anything. So I can't really count Candace myself. Coach Colin I've talked to a few times. We don't really talk that much, to be honest. So, but yeah, I mean, Coach is cool. He's obviously Black. But besides those 5 or 6 or 7 Black people, most of them are Caucasian. Yep, someone said Danks is half half Iranian. Yeah. Let's see, am I Asian at all? Why? Because my eyes? I don't think so. I did that, what was it, 23andMe DNA testing stuff. And I believe it was like, what was it? I think it's like 49% African-American and 51% Caucasian. And it was like French, British, German, Irish, Nigerian, and Somalian, I believe. But yeah, that's funny. Someone said Coach is Black. Didi got a podcast. I have never talked to him. I've never done any messages back and forth or anything with him either. All right, let's get back into this. I think that one, I know that recording got messed up. And I don't want to hear from her. I'm trying to get this. Okay, now this is like a little friendly montage. This is of Karmelo Anthony's family. So this is something people put together to basically say, like, he's just a regular awesome kid. You know, he was just caught in a bad situation.
That's the cruise going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cruise going on.
Yeah.
I got him, Kayla. I got him. I got him.
Regular family, football player, having fun, smiling. They had money. They went on cruises.
Karmelo Anthony, class of 2025, Centennial High School, Frisco, Texas.
Has a Lexus for his birthday.
Yeah.
Family's around. Dad's around. So based on that, you would think he's living a life, you know? Really? Chuckles. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. That's funny. Yeah, you know, actually, so beat me up, Scotty. I was trying to look that up. I was like, how did they make their money? What did the father do? And I couldn't find any information. The only information I can see is that and now remember all these images and stuff we just saw, this video, this was before the crime. So I was trying to figure out where the money came from. Did they inherit it? Did he have some kind of business? Was it from the mom? I can't find anything on that. So if you can find something, I'd be really interested. But since then, they've had donations, right? They've had like GoFundMe's and that kind of stuff. And they've gotten, I think, somewhere upwards of like 700,000 donated to them from the community. Something crazy. But this kind of behavior here, this is the kind of stuff that is becoming too common.
It is video that is hard to watch. A 24-year-old man hit and kicked as he left a corner store in Klein. He was there on Sunday.
I definitely want him caught.
He and his girlfriend asked that we not identify them out of fear for their safety. Social media has not been kind.
I've gotten death threats.
They just want to be safe. When they approached, he just took the beating, 6 kicks to the head from 5 people in all.
The 5th one at the end came out of the store after purchasing his goods and then came up to me, kicked me in the face and said, "Black Lives Matter."
The victim says they didn't even leave quickly.
It seemed like they were proud of it.
The Harris County Sheriff's Office is asking the public to call Crime Stoppers with tips about who they are so they can be held accountable.
So now some people would say this is like new behavior. Okay. The problem with that is when I was younger, my brother and I, our first experience with this kind of stuff, because there was a lot of gang stuff back then. The first thing is, yeah, someone said he was lucky. They were lucky he wasn't armed. Yeah. But I've seen this kind of behavior happen. So it was me and my brother. My brother is a lot bigger than me, and I'm not small. And then there's these 2 or 3 other guys, and we were walking across a field with our white friend. And he looked like a typical nerdy white guy, right? And he's tall. He was taller than us. He was older than us too. So we're walking across this field, and then these other 2 black guys come, and they kind of just start going straight for us. And we all played baseball and stuff out there. So I figured they were just going to be like, "Hey, what's up?" They came up to us and just started punching the white dude in the face. Just started, and the guy that was punching was like a Golden Gloves boxer. So it's not the kind of case where like this is a new thing that's happening. This has been going on. I mean, that would have been 30 years ago that happened. So I think what's happening is it's more in the public eye now. It's being more publicized. And I think there's more people, more African Americans tired of this behavior from that segment of their group.
Witnesses of Karmelo Anthony trial has been revealed in their testimony. Keep in mind, people, the majority of the witnesses that testify on this stand are black kids, okay? Now, specifically, one testimony by an 18-year-old girl that actually knew both of them. She was friends with both of them, Austin and Karmelo, said something that basically sealed the entire case. And every single one of them, keep in mind, people say the same thing, that Karmelo was asked repeatedly over and over again to get out of their team 10. Now, keep in mind, people, this did happen at a track meet. Austin and the witnesses were on one team, and Karmelo was on another team. For whatever reason, we don't know. In my humble opinion, Karmelo decided to walk over there probably to impress a girl. Maybe that's just speculations, or look cool in front of his homeboys. Who knows? We would never know. At the end of the day, he scrolled his little scrawny butt over there, instigating and provoking people. Now, based off the testimony of...
My wife just came down and was like, "You're not sharing the video, dumbass." All right, hold on a second. Let me get this queued back up.
Has not been kind.
I've gotten death threats.
Let me get it queued up again. I did a Barrett again. That's been happening more lately. I think it's because I'm trying to look at like 6 different things at once. I need to just focus in here. I'm just getting the video queued up. All right, here we go. All right, let's put a face to that name and that voice.
Has been revealed in their testimony. Keep in mind, people, the majority of the witnesses that testify on this stand are black kids, okay? Now, specifically, one testimony by an 18-year-old girl that actually knew both of them. She was friends with both of them, Austin and Karmelo, said something that basically sealed the entire case. And every single one of them, keep in mind, people say the same thing, that Karmelo was asked repeatedly over and over again to get out of their team 10. Now, keep in mind, people, this did happen at a track meet. Austin and the witnesses were on one team, and Karmelo was on another team. For whatever reason, we don't know. In my humble opinion, Karmelo decided to walk over there probably to impress a girl. Maybe that's just speculations, or look cool in front of his homeboys. Who knows? We would never know. At the end of the day, he scrolled his little scrawny butt over there, instigating and provoking people. Now, based off the testimony of all the witnesses, they said that they asked this boy to leave multiple times. Austin is the team leader. Okay, he is the team leader of that team, very protective. He noticed that Karmelo was there sitting, instigating things. He gently placed his hand on Karmelo's back, okay, and asked Karmelo to leave. Karmelo then responded, "You touch me, you see what happened." And then he went into his bag, grabbed this knife, and stabbed Austin. Now, I know earlier last year when this happened, there was rumors going around social media, black liberal social media, that, oh, they jumped him. Austin, his brother, jumped him. Oh, they jumped him. They're racist. No, that did not happen at all. Oh, he was bullying them. No, that did not happen at all. Okay. And even today, protesting that is going on right now, they're still claiming that, he was bullied. The witnesses that was there is claiming otherwise. They have witnessed otherwise. They have seen otherwise. So what the hell are you all talking about? That boy committed murder. That's it. That's it. So for the mother and the father and all these people to be over there protesting on some, and you seen Al Sharpton and all the rest of the Democrat, they ain't nowhere to be found. They vanish. They're gone. The BLM, and they all capitalize off the situation when this story was fresh last year. That's it. For a complete narrative to benefit their party, to benefit their organization. Where are they at now? This boy was just sentenced to 35 years, found guilty. Where are they at now? They're done with him. They're done with him. Now, speculation say that the mother used the money for a nose job. That is rumors. Do I believe it? I think I could believe something like that. They went out and bought houses and cars. Listen, this is a sad, sad situation. It's sad because father, right? Father taught. If you're looking at this man, you should be ashamed of yourself. You put your son in prison. You want to know why? You taught your son to respond to situations out of emotions. You taught your son to be the bully. Austin wasn't a bully. Your son was the bully, boy. You should be in jail too. You failed your son. You taught your son not a damn thing.
Someone's asking if there was riots because of this. As far as I know, there was only issues outside the courthouse. I have not seen any, crowds erupting across the country or anything even close to like Black Lives Matter. But that's with the recent stuff. When this first happened, I believe there was a lot more that happened, and there were some leaders coming out speaking against it and saying it was a race thing and everything else. You have to remember this was 2 years ago. The incident was 2 years ago. Actually, was it 3 years ago? It's been a couple of years. So it's just that the court case was finally done recently. So I wanted to show this because this can happen with anyone, but this kind of behavior is interesting. I saw this. A lot of people were posting this along with all this Karmelo Anthony stuff. And I think it's because it's her entitlement in this situation. And again, like I said, this can happen to different people. Hey, Kimberly, how's it going? But this can happen to anyone, white, black, Chinese, whatever. But I think it's interesting. So she's here. She's in like the Sistine Chapel or whatever it is. Or sorry, the St. Peter's Basilica. And she's singing. And she has an amazing voice. Like off the charts amazing. But she refuses to leave. And when he asked her to leave nicely, she kind of like slowly goes out and keeps singing and doing whatever she wants. And then he's like, I'm going to escort you out. And she's like, no, I'm going to go out whenever the hell I want. And you just kind of see the behavior. And this is kind of like that entitled, I'm going to do whatever I want. This white man's not going to tell me what to do type of situation.
Above and there's no other.
So he's saying it's a quiet zone. So people aren't supposed to be yelling or singing or playing instruments or anything here. So he's just respecting the rules and asking her to respect the rules.
Can I do it outside? No. Jesus is the answer for the world today. Just 1 minute. No, sorry. Sorry, guys. Above and there's no other. Jesus is the way. I'm going now. You have a beautiful voice. No worries. I'm going now. Okay.
So you see this interaction. She's saying, I'm going now, but she wants him to go in front of her. And she wants to stay and keep getting her attention. And I don't know if someone's recording her for like a TikTok or Instagram or something, but she's really trying to push the entitlement and do whatever she wants and not listen to him.
I think I show you. Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Main character syndrome.
Above and there's no other. Jesus is the way. And Jesus is the answer for the world today.
So she's just hanging out. He asked her to walk out and she's doing exactly what he asked her not to do. And she's just walking out really slow. But yes, someone says the acoustics would be great. This would trump a shower. Like, I don't know if you've ever sang in the shower, but I think everyone sounds amazing. But yes, she can sing. Yeah, at least she can sing, Baze. I mean, she should have an album. She should have a record deal. And it sounds like she probably does gospel or something. But like some people said, there's a time and a place. But yeah, the disrespect of this.
Above and there's no other. Jesus is the way.
And this was one of the lawyers, I believe, or at least someone pushing on the Karmelo Anthony side of things.
35 years for a kid who had decided to go under a tent that was not his team's tent as it was raining.
Mm-hmm. So that's the big argument on their side, is that it was raining. So I guess one big question, I don't know, is did his team have a tent? That's the big question for me. Did his team not have a tent? So he went to the only tent that there was? But they keep saying he went to this tent to get out of the rain. He's innocent. And he innocently stabbed somebody. That's basically their argument.
And simply didn't want to be put out in the rain by some random kid that he didn't know who was larger than him.
Now, remember, his whole team is in the rain still, right? Because he was on the track with them.
Listen, a lot of people don't know what it is to live as a Black person in this country, but just like you can give the benefit of the doubt to so many police officers when they go out and they shoot some Black unarmed person, even though they are trained, the fact that there was little to no mercy seen or humanity seen when this Black boy said that I was scared, or the fact
he was so scared that he brought a knife with him, which could mean you're scared, right? If you're not confident in your ability to protect yourself out in public in general, outside your house, maybe. But he brings a knife. He has it in his backpack. He walks up to a opposing team's tent with the knife in his backpack, and at some point grabs the knife and stabs someone with it. Not only is he approaching another team's tent, but he's approaching all these big guys. People keep talking about how Austin and his brother Hunter are like 6'1" or whatever, 220 pounds, and probably some other big guys in there too. So he's brave enough to do all that. But then he goes to the trial and says that he's scared. It doesn't fit.
Like the Karmelo situation, nobody wins, right? A family lost their child. Another family lost kid's life is over. He was sitting there minding his business. But then he decided to object when somebody kept coming on to him. But it don't matter. We don't get to stick up for ourselves. So we need to teach our kids some serious discernment, and you don't get to fight back all the time. And it's very disappointing, but y'all need to sit down with y'all's kids and have some real ass conversations.
It's very disappointing you don't get to stab people in the chest. That's the extent of what I'm hearing in response to this from the supporters of Karmelo Anthony, that Black kids are somehow oppressed because they don't get to respond to verbal altercations or like physical altercations with stabbing somebody in the chest. If Black parents need to have a conversation with their kids, that conversation involves not bringing knives to track meets, not pulling out those knives when somebody asks you to leave an area that you're not supposed to be in, and not plunging those knives into the chests of other people. That's the extent of the conversation. It's a pretty simple conversation that I think even most don't even need to have with their kids, because kids learn very early on not to stab other people in the chest with knives. I guess that's like the Black people are an exception to that conversation. So if that is a conversation you need to have with your kids, I'm going to be questioning your parenting.
So someone brought up a good point in chat. So they said that Karmelo Anthony supposedly was suspended for having a knife previously. So everything, I've been looking this up, and it looks like that's true from everything that I can see, allegedly. So the kid who stabbed the other one, Karmelo Anthony, had been suspended previously, allegedly for having a knife. And they're saying he was at school, he was on school suspension at the time of the stabbing. So he wasn't even supposed to be on the school campus, according to what I can find. So that makes it even more premeditated. Interesting.
So look, bro, I feel like we should propose a new challenge in honor of the Karmelo and Austin Metcalf case going the way it did. Because as y'all know, these people mimic everything we do. So let's see if they mimic this too. I call this one Do the Austin Challenge. What you do, you come outside and you
So
stand
this challenge
in the
makes fun
sun
of
for
Austin dying.
3-4 hours with no sunblock, right? And then you plant your feet in the grass, bare feet. You grab your throat and you fall to the ground. And then you start gasping for air and shaking. Like that.
Now, that is very similar to when people were doing the Charlie Kirk thing, where they had the bloody shirt and they were like, you know, holding their neck and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a similar thing. They're mocking someone dying and how they died. Yeah, sick. Miss Jackson, 100%. That's like, death is bad enough, but mocking death, especially an innocent death, is probably one of the worst things you can do. Very, very gross. So This guy here, this is probably one of my favorite clips of all of them that I have. And it gets into some of the statistics and stuff. And this is actually the thing that tipped me off to the IQ thing. But if you haven't watched anything up to this point, if you're kind of casually watching, this would be a clip that you should really focus in on.
Judge overseeing the case lowered the bond for Karmelo Anthony from $1 million to $250,000. Literally one guess as to this judge's race and sex. It's a black woman. Karmelo's Give, Send, Go raised over $600,000. This did not stop the Anthony family from requesting a public defender. You can afford Johnny Cochran, right? Only to then turn around and be like, yeah, we'll take the free lawyer actually provided by the state. Eventually, they got an actual attorney. So what did they do with the rest of the money? Turns out the Anthony family relocated to a $900,000 home in a gated community, ostensibly to protect themselves from other people who like to stab and commit crimes upon impulse. The Anthonys, by all appearances, weren't exactly poor prior to their son murdering Austin Metcalf. It's like everybody on Twitter was talking about, this is why we need better schools, more money. We have to bring back fathers. Father was present. He lived in Frisco. Frisco's a very nice area. What could have better been done in this case? We're told any difference between like black and white outcomes, it's largely a result of poverty. Any disparities in group outcome, it's not really the fault of black people. Ultimately, they believe that giving black people preferential treatment will boost their socioeconomic status, and then finally, they will commit fewer crimes. Unfortunately for liberals, we can actually see how people of different races on average succeed when they make the same amount of money. Black guys raised by millionaires go to jail or prison at the same rate as white people raise under $36,000 a year, which obviously it's because racism is to blame. There couldn't.
So I just want to point that piece out again. He said black people raised by millionaires who are very well off commit crimes at the same rate as white people raised by a poor family only making $36,000 a year. So they're saying that the race part of it does play a role, right? Not just the environment, because a lot of people are saying the environment is why their IQ is lower, or their environment is why they do the things they do. But he's saying even in situations where they're well off, they still have the same behavior.
Not be any other factors at play, right? That's not actually true. 5 out of every 6 black people are statistically speaking less intelligent than the average white person. That is a fact. The researchers found that low IQ entailed high risk for being involved in reactive violence. That is impulsive violence, like stabbing someone because they told you to leave their tent at a track meet. White conservatives are probably the most racially neutral group of people ever. Yet, I think a lot of us are starting to recognize that these notions of colorblindness, not exactly shared by certain segments of the American population. So one wonders whether at some point in the future, white Americans will get fed up and say, you know what, if everybody else is going to be playing by these rules, identity politics, what have you, why shouldn't we? And if someday we see some kind of drastic change in those attitudes, liberals, Black Lives Matter, they will have no one to blame but themselves for that.
So that one was a really good summary of all the different pieces that we've kind of talked about. Moon Goddess, are you riling people up? I see Nightbot's not messing with you. Yeah, if that's true, if Karmelo was actually suspended, so it's true that he was suspended previously. I don't know if it's true that he was suspended during. That's the piece that I can't confirm, but either way, if he's already gotten in trouble for being in school with the knife, then that makes it even more premeditated because he's repeating the same behavior. So I can see why he got time and why he's guilty.
Hey, so I have seen a lot of broken hearts and outrage over Karmelo Anthony's guilty verdict and 35-year sentence today. I have seen moms, pastors, politicians, and protesters in full outrage. I have seen signs. I have seen tears. I have seen comparisons to other cases. And I know there is a lot of uncertainty out there. So many are asking, what can we even do in Black America? And I'm here to help. Don't kill people. Don't bring knives to track meets. Stop raising little boys to glamorize violence. Stop celebrating absentee fatherhood and then wondering why these boys have no idea how to be men. Stop minimizing education and decorum while glorifying rap culture, sex, drugs, and violence. Stop pretending that some generational trauma response explains away the fact that we kill each other in numbers that should horrify every single one of us. Stop outsourcing blame and take personal responsibility. Stop raising raising boys to be exactly what they ended up becoming and then acting shocked when the verdict reflects it. And before you come to my comments talking about this country was never meant for us or there's no such thing as self-defense when you are Black, find me a case with the same circumstances that ended differently. I'll wait. No, I do not care if this is harsh. Harsh is a 17-year-old who went to a track meet and never came home. That's harsh. This is just the truth. And until we start telling the truth and stop lying to each other, this will keep happening. Hey, so
technically I could end the stream there and just leave it with what she just covered it all. So I think she probably put it best of anyone that I've shown. She says exactly what needs to be said to the exact people that need to hear it. And, like a lot of people are saying, hopefully some of it sinks in. But this has been going on for so long that I think it's going to take a long period of time to shift that direction, to kind of get a movement. And as far as the IQ thing and the environment, I don't know what can be done about that besides better schools, better parents, being more present, dad staying around. I don't know exactly why the dad's not in the home. I don't know exactly specifically why in that specific culture there's less dads. I don't know if it's because the moms are in a situation where they're, I don't know if they're all sleeping around with each other and the moms are, fatherless and the kids are fatherless because of that. Or if maybe they're married and they get divorced. I don't know what those stats are on that. I'd like to look it up because I'm actually really interested. But I know in my case, my father was abusive and my mother left him. So I think she said it 100% best. And I have some more clips, but they're kind of showing similar themes, and then it gets more into the IQ stuff. But I think we've gotten the point across. So we've been going almost 3 hours of showing this information. So the biggest takeaway from all this is not everything's about race. And if you're around people that no matter what's happening, they make it about race, then they're part of this small percentage that are problematic. So if they're your friend or your family, or if it's you, then you need to open your eyes and look around you and see what's actually going on in the world and see how much people are starting to hate you and despise you for you doing this kind of division and making it a sport and attacking white people for fun and doing these challenges, making fun of a white kid that got stabbed. So it's time for you to wake up and do something about it. Change who you are. If you're a parent of these kind of people, you need to figure out what you need to do different to make them be better human beings as they grow up and respect human life. But let's go ahead and get to chats. And of course, hit the like, subscribe if you'd like. If you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member or throw some super chats. I am TriggerSmartHQ on X. You can also email me at engcwarrior@gmail.com. And then other places, I'm pretty much TriggerSmart HQ, most other spots, because I found out there's some company called TriggerSmart that did something with guns. So I didn't know that when I picked the name. So it's TriggerSmart HQ most places, but TriggerSmart on YouTube. All right, let me look at some of these here first. We got Real Bays in the house with a big super chat. He says, I grew up in New York, moving back and forth between Long Island and the city. I experienced a difference in education. It's a systematic problem. Karmelo made his own choice, though, and needed to be held accountable. He's an example of the bigger problem, though. Now, again, this goes back to he wasn't part of that system. He was very well off. He was in a great school system, great society, great neighborhoods. They went on cruises. I mean, he was not living the typical African-American, poor, no father in the home story that we see with a lot of these criminals. So his case was very unique, but he definitely made his own choice. That's why people think it's premeditated. And the fact that I just found out that he had a knife and got suspended for it before this incident even happened. Right? So this is a repeat pattern of violence and aggression and strange behavior with him. Sad to see. The original Tyra. Thanks for the super chat. If you're a child of God, you are my sibling. 1 John 4:20, whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. That's all you need to know. Amen. Should have been like a Christ is King there at the end, I think. But yeah, very much. Dreaming in Nashville. Member for 2 months. Matt, please leave your stats pinned after the chat. Actually, let me set a reminder. Set a reminder at 6:00 p.m. to pin all of the stats in the description. That's my assistant. All right, cool. She's got it. Brian Swope, thanks for the super chat. Great show. You know, it was interesting because this show, when I first started putting all this stuff together, I really didn't want to do the show for obvious reasons, because race is such a touchy topic and so many people have such strong feelings about it. But the more I started digging into all these resources, I was like, I have to do this show. It's too important. Rabbit, thanks for the super chat. Thank you for all your efforts. Wish I had more for you. I appreciate what you did give in this one as well. Give them reparations. They'll spend it. They'll spend it all to us. Yeah. Michelle Mabel, member for 4 months. KA was on suspension for bringing a knife to school. That is where I saw that tip. So thanks for that tip. It does appear that that's true from what I can see so far. He was suspended previously for a knife and possibly even on suspension during this event. And I think I heard that when this story first came out back in 2025. Julie Cooksey -me. Appreciate you and your content. Thanks. I appreciate the super chat. Vahid Reina. I'm probably butchering names. I appreciate the super chat there. TriggerSmart is a real deal. God bless you. Or God bless all you who read this. And Zen Queen 041. Thanks for being a channel member. Thank you for hosting this conversation, Matt. Appreciate you. Thanks for the super chat. And Ant Lang, is that Canadian? Canadian $10. Thanks for your super chat from Canada. Thanks for revealing some personal things about yourself. I try to catch every one of your streams that are to the point with no sensationalism. Yeah, I try to pride myself on not getting into that stuff. You know, I think it's really important to, I know like a lot of people, like you never pick a side. How come you don't pick a side? I think that's a common misconception too, that you have to pick a side. I think that's ridiculous. If you have two things that are wrong, why do you have to pick one? Right? Like if you have the Republicans and the things that are messed up on their side, and you have the Democrats and things that are messed up on their side, and independents are just all over the place, why would you have to pick one of those? If they're all imperfect, you don't have to pick any of them, right? So don't force yourself into a situation you don't have to be in because you feel pressured to pick a side, especially if both sides suck. Let's see, just looking at chat here. You said today I learned. I just started seeing things about this case. Yeah, it's probably just because they just had court, so it kind of got reinvigorated. Someone says this is so great. Christ is King. Let me see if we have other questions here. Pitchy says, I think we covered the knife thing. This is a good question. So, people not punching each other anymore. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where the old school fighting days are done. Like, and if people do fight that traditional way, the old school way, put up your dukes, a lot of times it ends in shooting. So, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I mean, a knife, gun, you know, baseball bat, any kind of weapon like that. If someone's living a life where they feel like they need to carry that stuff, that's why I was questioning if he had some kind of gang involvement or something. You know, if you either someone would have to be after you, or you would have to be in a situation where you might do something that might make someone come after you, that you feel like you need to carry a knife with you everywhere. So that's why I was initially thinking that maybe he was in gangs or something similar. Did they really raise $700K and only spend $70,000 on a lawyer? I don't even know if they spent $70,000 on a lawyer. I heard that they just use a public defender. So I think they just gave up on their son. Like they said, they weren't at the track meet when this happened. And why would they be? Because he was suspended, allegedly. So he shouldn't have been there. And where were they when he was doing all this stuff? Kind of strange. But then they also, I don't think they were at his sentencing either. The grandmother was, I think, but not the parents. So I think they just said it's going to be a free ride. Let's enjoy it. He's going to jail. Let's go on a cruise. Let's buy a $900,000 house in a crazy neighborhood. Someone said that's his stepdad. Originator triggers biracial. Yes. Tai Imwua says, so why are you giving them attention? This whole thing is about that culture bringing attention to themselves and the issues that they have and doing it openly all over social media. So that's what 90% of these videos have been. So they're tired of, it used to be that they would deny everything and support any behavior that happened no matter what was going on. And it's gotten to the point now where they're standing up and saying, like, we're not putting up with this anymore. Like, we're tired of you too. We don't want to be around you. We don't want you in our group. We don't want you in our family. We don't want to be your friend. That's kind of the direction things are going. So we'll see. We'll see if it catches on. It's going in a good direction so far, but this is a very small piece, right? This has been going on for decades. The original Tyrus says, Christ is king. Yes. Thanks for the super chat. Bonnie Lynn, 2866. Thanks for the super. Excellent show, Matt. Thanks for all the hard work. You know, this one was interesting. I won't say it was fun because this is a very touchy subject, but I think it's eye-opening. And I think a lot of people that watch this will probably hopefully get something out of it. You know, when you do this kind of stuff, you're always at the mercy of not just the algorithm, but, you know, if you get enough people that are pissed off by this message from these people, right? Like, this isn't necessarily my message. This message is coming from all the people in all those videos that I showed saying that they're fed up with this behavior and not believing the whole race baiting thing. Cindy Lou, let's see. Bad kid, bad family. Possibly. I mean, it seems like he was pretty well off in the, what was it, a TikTok that we watched? They went on family vacations, cruises, car trips, dancing, taking them to birthday parties, eating dinner. They seem like they were just a normal family. I mean, based on what I can see from that, that's obviously a very small piece, a very small window into what their life was, but it didn't seem like it was terrible. But his dad does not seem stable or normal. He doesn't seem like he's all there. Or a stepdad, whoever that gentleman is. Someone says, so are they a racist family? Oh, Philippe. Hey, Philippe. Or Philip. That's a good question. I haven't seen anything necessarily indicating that they themselves were saying racist things, but I know the grandmother was like chanting, you know, like discrimination, racism, whatever. So maybe. But again, they weren't really there. They weren't really present. They weren't really supporting him. So I don't know what their stance is on this. But based on the father, actually, now that I think about it, because the father did say that he knew he should have not had a white lawyer and a few other things around something similar to that. So maybe. So there was no, it was an all white jury and they were biased. And so maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe there's something there. But I don't think it's like blatant all out racism like you would expect in that case. Swamp Lover, why isn't he in cuffs? I was wondering that too. I was trying to figure out when that video was from. Because I know there are some cases where, like, if he's not in high security or something, they'll transport him like that. Because, like, you know, you've seen other cases where there's criminal court and you'll see the person just walk in, you know, like celebrities and stuff like that. So it's not all like Tyler Robinson, where there's like a SWAT team and armored vehicle and all that stuff and using a bulletproof vest and everything else, which is interesting. Let's see. Did the kid in prison have any witnesses support him? Not that I know of. It seemed like most of the people that were witnesses were, from what that gentleman said, they're mostly African-American. And they basically said, you know, what the official story was that came out. He went there. He was basically, you know, he went there with an attitude and a knife while suspended. And what happened. So let's see. Yeah, we'll do a poll really quick. Someone's asking for a poll. Let me get this set up. So after everything you've seen, and I don't know how long you've been here, and hit that like while you're here. But I'll say, is Karmelo Anthony guilty based on what we've seen? So we'll do that poll here really quick. Did it pop up? There it is. Okay. And Dulcinea V, Swamp Lover, Kimberly. Make sure you guys thank the mods for doing a great job. Moon Goddess, make sure you thank Nightbot. Oh, man. But yeah, so what do you guys think about the stream overall? Like the setup? Because this would be similar to what I would do for other true crime ones, but I think for like if we went over JFK or something like that, I think we would get a lot more into like the specific evidence, where this is more like a race, culture, state of America type of thing. But for future ones, I'm thinking of doing more like, you know, here's Exhibit A evidence. What do you think about this? Here's Exhibit B. This is some of the weird things they found out about it and stuff like that. Make it like a little bit more like Clue or something. More mysterious. Scorps 86. Yes, it was first degree. So, which I think is first degree. Does first degree include intent? Let's see. First degree murder. Yeah. So first degree murder includes intent, but the exact legal requirements depend on your specific jurisdiction. So first degree means premeditated intent. So based on everything and the fact that he brought a knife before, the fact that he was suspended, went in there, wouldn't leave when they asked him to, and the fact that he had his, you know, his hand on the knife ready to go instead of, you know, basically F around and find out if you touch me. Yeah, he got first degree. It's unfortunate. He had so many things set up for him. He was doing good in school and had the family. They had money and all the other stuff. So, let's see. Euphorna. Show better images of blacks. I showed both. So I showed the side that is ignorant and has low IQ and is causing problems. And I showed the side that is your typical upstanding black citizen that is tired of those people acting that way. So I showed a mixture of both. And actually I showed more of the upstanding citizens than I did of the other people. So I think that satisfies that one. I'm not sure exactly when that message went out. Core Dog says the black jurors opted out themselves. 3 black jurors opted themselves out. Interesting. I know that a couple of them were saying that they couldn't be impartial because it was a black kid. I did hear that. So I'm not sure if that is those 3 or part of those 3. Dreaming in Nashville, can you do something on the Albanian uprising? I did a video on the island and some of that, but I didn't get super deep into the uprising. I'm not sure how much there is to it. I know they like torched the leader's house and they're not happy and they're in the streets and that kind of stuff. But as far as any kind of weird corruption behind it, and like, I mean, people are digging into all that stuff, all the financials. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So, I wouldn't mind digging deeper into it, but I think a lot of people already are. And it's interesting because I brought it up, and not a ton of people were talking about it when I did the video, and then like later on, Candace is talking about it. I'm not sure what direction it's going to go or how many people are going to get behind it, but it's very interesting. Michelle Bell, thanks for the gifted TriggerSmart membership. Whoever receives that, which I can't see, make sure you say thanks in the chat. Thank you, Texas Alley Cat, for becoming a new channel member. Y'all, Serena, you said you love the depth of the show. Do you, actually, let's do this real quick in chat. Do you think that this stream was too long? That'd be my first question. I had a ton of information. I spent a long time finding all these clips and everything. Do you think so? Right now we're at, what are we at? 3 hours. We're at 3 hours and like 8 minutes. Do you think that it was like, should I have shortened it like in half? Should it have been like an hour and a half stream instead of 2 hours, like 2.5 hours? Put a 1 in chat if you think it was too long. Put a 2 if you think it was about right. And I know it also depends on the day. You know, if you're just kind of hanging out, vibing on a Sunday, it's not as bad as like a weeknight or something, but looks like most people are saying is about right for this topic. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Looks like it's about right. So someone said not long enough, Moon Goddess. Yeah. So I'm thinking for anyone that's not aware, what I'm planning on doing is Tuesdays and Fridays. And Tuesday is going to be most likely a Charlie Kirk style stream. And then Fridays, I'm thinking it's going to be like similar to this, like a true crime direction. And they're supposed to be at 2 p.m. Central. So I'll probably get those officially on the website and on the banner and stuff for the channel. Someone said, what did Drip vote? Drip was not a happy camper. But, you know, this was very tame. This stream was very tame versus some that I saw, like Jesse did one, Mr. Let Go did one, and people were just going nuts in their chat. And that might have been happening in this one, but I think Nightbot does a pretty good job. Let's check the poll here. Is Karmelo Anthony guilty based on what you've seen? 94% says yes, 3% says no, 3% not enough info. All right, awesome. And Sam Sabby IQ says true crime sounds great. Yeah, I think the true crime thing is I think most people are fascinated by it, at least a little bit. Let me see. My wife has been kind enough to organize questions and stuff for me. When you're doing this by yourself, it's really hard to get all the questions. That's why most people basically only answer super chats, because there's no way to scroll back up and keep track of all the questions that are not super chats. It's almost impossible. Let's see. Someone said slow down on the facts. Yeah, I think what I'll do next time is I'll have like a spreadsheet or something so you can see it, have it on the screen. Molly's shirt. I feel like his parents put him up to it. Interesting. Interesting take. I don't know if this would have been like a Tyler Robinson type of situation where maybe he was programmed and manipulated and all that stuff, but never know. Dreaming in Nashville. How can we fix this stuff? I would like to be part of the solution. I think a big part of it is accountability for the people doing this stuff and the parents, and then the rest of that same community and culture holding them accountable and not apologizing for them or lying for them or joining them going the wrong direction. So that's going to be the biggest part of it. If African Americans are calling out other African Americans who are acting up and doing things incorrectly and being criminals, attacking random white people, that kind of behavior, if they're calling out their own people, that's a start. Is it going to stop the behavior? I don't know. A lot of people say it starts in the home. So if the parents are, like you saw that one mother, she had the kids in the back and she's burning the tag off of the thing she just stole. And she's bragging about how easy she stole it for this photo shoot she's doing. And her friend was even embarrassed. You know, if you have parents like that, what kind of hope do you have? And you may have mentors, but they may not be able to do enough to counteract the bad parenting, unfortunately. But all right, I think I've hit all the supers, all the members. I appreciate everyone being here. This has been interesting. Moon Goddess says, Mrs. TriggerSmart is the bomb. Yes, she is. So what I will do is we'll go ahead and call it. I know Baron's starting here in about 15 minutes. So grab your snacks and get ready for that. He is back from losing his friend, and seems like he's in decent spirits. So hopefully he's doing all right. But thanks, mods. Thanks for all the supers. Thanks for the memberships. Thanks for being here and hanging out. This was an interesting one. But like I said, Tuesdays and Fridays at 2:00 Central is what I'm planning, and maybe more often if they go well. But yeah, I appreciate everyone being here, and I hope you had a good weekend. And I'll see you on the next one.